सुनने को मिलती थी। वो धर्म चर्चा बिल्कुल बंद हो गई क्या साहब?
है ना चालू अभी। अभी रोज इतवार को सुनते हैं ना रत्न सुंदर महाराज साहब को।
सर रोज सुना करो।
अमृत भाई ने बोला था कि महीने में एक तो कराओ भाई।
नहीं वो करना ही है ना, वो बताया है।
हाँ
अभी पहले धर्म चर्चा हुआ करती थी, अभी चर्चा ही धर्म हो गई है।
बराबर।
So we are live now, sir.
Okay, चलो।
Warm welcome all the participants. We have today wonderful webinar special on section 206 CH1, which is recently introduced and effective from 1st October. So we have a great panelist with us, CA Rajesh Selot sir, a past chairman at CIRC of ICAI. Sir is a great profile. We'll introduce sir. Presently, sir is a president at Indore Malwa chapter as well. We have Harit Dhariwal ji for our today's session, expert speaker and the rank holder chartered accountant. So we welcome both our panelists. Apart from that, we have many panelists with us. CA Pradeep Kapadia sir, President Jain Chartered Accountant Federation Mumbai. CA Hirajan Bafna ji, Vice President at JCF Mumbai. We have Amrit Porwal sir, General Secretary at Mumbai. We have our friend CA Dipti Jain, General Secretary at Malwa chapter, and also a committee member at Mumbai. So we have many great panelists with us. So without wasting much time, would like to request CA Pradeep Kapadia sir, President JCF Mumbai, for the welcome address.
Thanks, Virag. Happy evening and Jai Jinendra to all in one. It gives me immense pleasure in welcoming you on this virtual platform. Special webinar on tax collected at source, the newly inserted section 206 C1H, and the recent updates in income tax and tax audit report jointly with connectees. I think the joint venture is growing day by day. And जैसे हमारे जयेश भाई काला कहते हैं कि हम एक दूसरे के पूरक बन गए हैं, वैसे we must have jointly done so many programs. I think I have just lost the count of how many programs we must have done jointly with Connect Easy. But let me tell you, we have together that we have done so many, and the synergy has proved wonders, let me tell you. And we could together bring highly learned chairmen and excellent presenters up, and thereby giving great value to our members and our participants. And let me tell you, today is no difference. We have our very own president of JCF Malwa chapter, and also the past president of CIRC of Institute of Chartered Accountants, CA Rajesh Selot ji, who does not only possess, let me tell you, only an academic knowledge, but his spiritual knowledge is immense knowledge that he possesses on spiritualism, and it's always a treat to listen to him. And he's an excellent orator also. And when he speaks in that pure Hindi language, let me tell you, it is a treat to the ear. You'll feel like just listening to him in that Hindi language, and you feel really proud of this, and today, our other guest speaker, an excellent and a very knowledgeable vice chairman of Ahmedabad branch of WIRC of the Institute of Chartered Accountants, CA Harit Dhariwal, who will speak on the subject of TCS and the recent updates in income tax and tax audit. Let me tell you, he also possesses an excellent experienced man. 12 years he has put into this profession, and so it would be also something wonderful to listen to him also. So without wasting much of our time, I would request Virag to navigate the proceedings further. Happy learning, and let's proceed. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, President sir. And now I would like to request our friend CA Dipti Jain to introduce both our panelists. So over to you, Dipti.
Virag, you have not told me as a friend.
Sir.
I am also your friend, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Sir, you are very much our friend, sir. Thank you. Thank you. It's been pleasure. Today we have CA Rajesh Selot ji, President JCF Malwa chapter as chairman of session. So with he is a very dynamic and vibrant personality with an extraordinary vision. Recently, he assumed the position of president at JCF Malwa chapter, consisting of the largest geographical area of India, that is 14 cities of India. With his experience and organizational capabilities, and he played a pivotal role in organizing and opening Jain Chartered Accountant chapters consisting of cities like Indore, Ujjain, Ratlam, and other 14 cities also, which is a Herculean task to convince and to get. And within 7 days, we are able to get more than 200 life members for the JCF with his efforts. He had been the past chairman, vice chairman, secretary, treasurer, Sikasa chairman of Indore branch. He had been the past chairman and vice chairman of Central India Regional Council of ICAI. He is currently co-convener of BJP Arthik Prakosht Madhya Pradesh, president of Rashtriya Jain Minority Organization. He has been honorable secretary of Shri Shri Saubhagya Surya Dharawar Dham Goshala Trust. He has been office bearer to many other social organizations. Other than this, he had been proficient in financial management, business development, strategy, economic, taxation, banking, and he had great resourceful skills. Like he is a very excellent, as Pradeep sir has already told, he is a great debater, essay writer, an eloquent speaker, writer of various academic, social, spiritual subjects in Hindi as well as in English. He had recently passed Jain Hindi examination with 95 marks out of 100 in Jain Dharma, which is an achievement in itself. And he has an excellent academic career from past. And over to you, Virag. And now,
Thank you so much, Dipti. And now I would like to request Selot sir to initiate the proceeding. So over to you, Rajesh Selot sir.
Okay. Thank you, Virag. First of all, I am very much thankful to the team of Connect Easy, who is working under the leadership of dynamic chartered accountant Virag Shah. I am thankful to your team, Virag, for giving me this opportunity to chair this academic session, which is going on in today's webinar. The topics given in this webinar are 206C1H and recent amendments in income tax and tax audit reports. You know that this is a burning topic, 206C1H, and the professional fraternity is highly concerned and worried because this section should have not been introduced. It is the general feeling of all the professionals and traders, because unnecessarily it has put new responsibilities on the professionals for compliance work. So when the GST itself is already implemented and in full swing, and most of the information are available to the department through 26 AS revised, then I think there was no need of this 206C1H, and the memorandum should be given to the government to withdraw this provision. And particularly when the business community is is confronting with the crisis during COVID period, and in such a crisis critical time, there is no justification of 206C1H being introduced. Anyway, as already it has been introduced, so today our guest speaker, a dynamic chartered accountant, a very vibrant leader also, Harit Dhariwal, uh, would would train us, would educate us on the salient features of 206C1H, along with recent amendments in income tax like 26S, etc. And we would be very grateful to hear him. He is also vice chairman of great and largest branch, Ahmedabad branch of Gujarat of ICAI. So we are very much delighted to have him as a guest speaker today. I am thankful to Pradeep Kapadia sir, who is President JCF Mumbai, for very high words he said about me, although I don't deserve for the same. And I'm getting regular guidance from him to run the JCF Malwa. I'm also thankful to Hirachandji Bafna sir, whose name is Hira, means diamond, and really is diamond in his words and wisdom. I'm also seeing that Amrit Porwalji is also here, my good friend and Secretary JCF Mumbai, who is in my constant connection. Another friend, Dipti Jain, who is Secretary General JCF Malwa, and who has been imported from Mumbai to Indore, and she is serving JCF Malwa in a great way. And last, Virag Shah, who through Connect Easy is connecting all the professionals at a one platform, and his vision and objects of spreading the professional knowledge together with the social, spiritual, and other kind of knowledge is really commendable. And as his name is Virag, I would request him. Virag means attachless. So Virag bhai, I would request you to continue your this spirit in a attachless manner for a long time. And what I have come to know that Virag is the first person in the professional fraternity to start the webinars through platforms. I think in April first week he has started this project. This is really admirable, commendable, and I must congratulate Virag for this work. Friends, with these words, I would not take much of your time because the audience is also there. I would simply say that Jain Chartered Accountant Federation is not only doing work for the Jain fraternity, but is also committed to work for the entire professional fraternity, for entire community, for public at large. JCF in all the chapters in India would work for all these objectives. With these words, friends, I must I must conclude my wordings in the beginning and at the end, after deliberation of Mr. Harit Dhariwal, during question answer session, I would again like to contribute something which I know. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir, for your kind words. And now would like to request CA Harit Dhariwal bhai to start his session.
Respected Pradeep ji Kapadia sir, Hirachandji ji Bafna ji, CA Dipti Jain ji, Rajesh ji, Selot ji, CA Virag bhai, and all other panelists and all the participants. A very good evening to everybody. And it's great to see JCF doing such wonderful work and creating such a wonderful platform, which Virag bhai has, as Rajesh ji rightly said, is one of the pioneers of this online webinar. So thank you, Virag bhai, for taking this opportunity. And today we're going to discuss something.
1 second, Virag. I think we have to introduce first Dhariwal.
Yeah, that's what.
Sir, it's okay. We can start.
So Dipti, yes, nahi. Because I want to hear Dipti.
Yeah.
That is more important.
Would like to request CA Dipti Jain to introduce CA Harit Dhariwal bhai.
Thank you, sir. I was just messaging Virag only this ki Harit bhai ka introduction apan le le. Okay, it's okay. It happens. Today we have a very eminent speaker, very knowledgeable person with us, CA Harit Dhariwal ji. He is MCOM, FCA, DISA. He had qualified chartered accountant with more than 12 years of post-qualification experience in statutory and internal audits, taxation, treasury, and risk management, company law, advisory, and project finance. Presently, he is partner at Ashok Dhariwal and Company Chartered Accountants, Ahmedabad, and is involved in statutory audits, internal audit, direct tax advisory, GST advisory, project finance, and subsidiary. Earlier, he has been associated with Sterling Industries India Limited, now renamed as Vedanta Limited, as Assistant Manager Treasury at Mumbai. Managed Indian and overseas treasury functions and handled investment portfolio of the group of approximately $7.5 billion, both onshore and offshore, involved in projects for raising and investment management of convertible bonds and American depository receipts, made arrangement for fulfilling short-term and long-term fund requirement for the company by raising the funds through packing, credit, issuing MIBOR-linked fixed rate or non-convertible debentures, commercial papers, and banks loans. He has a huge experience of Harit Bhai in finance, and he holds degree with ranking position as chartered accountant and is qualified as an information system auditor. He has completed MCOM and certificate course of ICAI on international financial reporting standards. He has been on professional grounds, like he has been elected as managing committee member of the Ahmedabad branch of WIRC of ICAI for the terms 2016 to 19 and 19 to 22, elected as the vice chairman of the Ahmedabad branch for the term 2021. Ahmedabad branch is the second largest CA branch in the country with more than 10,500 chartered accountant members and 30,000 chartered accountant students. He has been regular speaker at various professional forums and have delivered lectures at various study circles and branches of ICAI. So we have today with us a very learned speaker. So we welcome you on the dais of JCF and Connect Easy. So here over to you, sir.
And taking the lead to have a JCF Ahmedabad chapter. We are waiting for that also.
Absolutely, sir. We are all up for it, sir. And
or we will send Dipti to Ahmedabad.
Surely, anytime you can connect with me for.
Sure, sir. I think Vikas is taking lead in this, sir, and we are all with him in this journey, sir. So good evening once again, and all the panelists and everybody. I think. So we are having an evening time and on such a very interesting topic on TCS, on sale of goods, along with that the important changes in income tax and tax audit report. I think let me start with a small story. I think I normally do because we all are in the evening, all busy working. So let us now rejig and come back to this thing. So a small story here goes that there was a person who wanted to learn gun shooting, and when he wanted to learn gun shooting, basically he approached an expert, and he told the expert that please can you help me teach it. Learn it. So expert said yes, you can buy a license and get a gun, and then I'll teach you. So the man said, okay, come next week to my house, and I'm going out for a week. After 1 week, you come and teach me how to learn gun shooting. So exactly after 1 week, the expert goes to the house of the person, and they go to the backyard. They see an entire wall, and on the wall there are gun shots. There were bullet shots, and across the entire shots, there were circles of the same radius drawn. So the person who is yet to learn, he had shot it. So the expert was basically flabbergasted. He said, "Ke ye kisne kiya? Who shot this?" So the person who is yet to learn, he told, "Sir, I only did this." So उसने बोला कैसे तुम पास जाके किया? How did you shoot that? Exactly जो गोलाई थी उसके exact circle में आपने कैसे मारा? So he said, "No, sir. With the same distance of what you shoot in the competition, हमने वो same distance ही मैंने shoot किया." So the expert asked him, now you have to teach me कि आपने कैसे shoot किया. So the person says कि sir, you draw the circle and shoot. I shoot and then draw the circle. So friends, this is what is happening. Our clients are normally of the opinion that they shoot and then they expect us to draw the circle. But now in this tough time and so much getting linked, it is very difficult for us now to draw a circle. The circle is already drawn. There are a lot of provisions of the Income Tax Act, of the SEBI, of the company law, wherein we are all very much restricted. We cannot do things or the whims and fancies we used to do earlier. And one of these things is the TCS provisions. Now, I think before I joined in, a few panelists were discussing. Now, obviously, there was no need of bringing this provision. But if you think about why was the need of bringing something like TCS, maybe something for the data mining, because normally those who are having a turnover of more than 10 crores and those who are having a sale receipt of more than 50 lakhs, they would obviously be under GST. So they wanted to have something of the data mining. What I can get off it, that why they wanted to bring in TCS. But let us now learn more about the TCS thing. I'm now going to share my screen and just. Yeah, so I think the screen is visible.
Yes, Harit bhai.
Yeah, okay. So as I said, the topic is basically today I'm going to cover something on the TCS. So what we are going to do is first we are going to see the entire section 206C1H, and there was one recent circular that the government had brought in along with the press release that was issued on 30th of September. Then we are going to take an overview of the tax audit 44 AB, AD, and ADA, only the sections, because there has been major change in the Finance Act 20, which has been made retrospective from assessment year 2021. Then we have to cover something on the tax audit report. So on the 1st October, there was a notification issued, and there were 2 or 3 major changes in the tax audit report that we will be dealing then. Then I'll be covering something on the latest amendments on the income tax, the Form 26AS, the Form 10DA, along with the 269 SU and other amendments on the income tax side, and then the concluding notes. So first and foremost, let us start with the TCS provision. So TCS, when I talk about TCS, I think TDS is more than, I think we all are more than convenient, conversant with the TCS provisions, TDS provisions. When we talk about TCS, this is the snapshot of the TCS provisions. You can see 206C1 subsection 1 talks about collection of TCS on the sale of alcoholic liquor, tendu leaves, timber, any other forest produce, scrap, and minerals. So if this basically deals on particular items. 206C1C talks about license of parking lot, toll plaza, mining and quarrying. 206C1F is sale of motor vehicle. If the amount exceeds 10 lakhs, you have to collect 1% TCS. Now there were in the Finance Act 2020, 206C1G and 1H were introduced. Now 206C1G talks about the remittance under LRS. So if you have any remittance of more than 7 lakh rupees, the authorized dealer, that is a banker, would be collecting TCS at the rate of 5% if the amount is more than 7 lakh rupees. And for the overseas tour program package, there is no limit as such. The 7 lakhs is only for the LRS. For the overseas tour program package, any amount of package that you do in, the TCS will be collected at 5%. Now, post that, the most controversial and the most debated section will be 206C1H, which talks about TDS on sale of goods. So this, as we know, a threshold limit is 50 lakhs. It is 0.1% to be collected, and till March 21st, it is 0.075% to be collected. So this is an overall purview of the TCS provisions. We will now see 206C1H, but at a lot of places there will be a mention of 206C1, which talks about the timber, tendu leaves, and alcoholic consumption. 1C, which talks about parking lot. 1F about the motor vehicle, and 1G, which is a recently amended provision. So this is an overall structure of the TCS. Now coming to the straight away to the section 206C1H. So what does the section say? I think it is very important for us to first study the section, because each and every word in the section is important. So every person being a seller. So first and foremost, it has to be a seller. Now who is a seller is also defined. We will go there. Who receives the amount, again the focus is on receipt. Who receives any amount as consideration for sale of any goods of the value or aggregate of such value exceeding 50 lakh rupees in any previous year. So till now what we see, every person who is a seller and who receives any amount for sale of any goods. Now what is goods? Again we will discuss. Value or aggregate of such value exceeding 50 lakh rupees in any previous year. Now there are two exceptions. Other than the goods being exported out of India or goods covered in subsection 1 or 1F or 1G. So if the goods are getting exported out of India, TCS on sale is not applicable. Second, if the goods are covered under earlier TCS provisions, like as we said, subsection 1 talks about timber leaves, tendu leaves, alcoholic consumption. 1F talk about sale of motor car. 1G talks about the LRS and overseas tour package. So if the goods are covered there, then TCS on sale of goods will under 206C1H will not be applicable. Shall, now the most important, at the time of receipt of such amount. So what is the trigger point? Is the receipt of such amount and collect from the buyer. So the seller will collect from the buyer. So two important things. Two persons have to be there, the seller and the buyer, and both are defined. Both are defined in this section. A sum equal to 0.1% of the sale consideration exceeding 50 lakh rupees as income tax. So the entire section says that whatever amount he receives, if the amount exceeds 50 lakh rupees, so if the amount is 51 lakh rupees, then on 1 lakh rupees, 0.1% TCS will have to be collected. Now there are a few provisos to this section. Before we go on to the definition of who is a seller, who is a buyer, what is consideration. Let us see what are the provisos. So provisos number 1 says that if there is no PAN or Aadhaar, in that case this 0.1% will be substituted to 1%. So that is first proviso. Second proviso, that in case any person has a liability to deduct TDS under any of the provisions, in that case this TCS on sale of goods will not be applicable. So now coming to the most important thing, definition of buyer and seller. So what does a buyer mean? So we saw here in this section that whatever the amount, every person being a seller, he receives an amount exceeding 50 lakh rupees in a previous year, other than goods being exported out of India, other than goods being covered under subsection 1, 1F or 1G, and the amount has been received by a buyer, he will collect at 0.1% of the sale consideration. Now buyer means a person who purchases any goods but does not include. So a common definition is it means a person who purchases any goods but does not include. There are 3 exceptions. First is obviously central government, state government, embassy, high commission, all these things, they are not included. Second, a local authority defined in clause 20 of subsection 10, that is okay. Now the most important, the person importing goods into India or any person as a central government may by notification in the official gazette specify for this purpose. So a person who is importing goods into India is not covered by the definition of as a buyer. So we'll discuss the implications of this also once we go ahead. Now coming to the very important definition of seller. So if you read to section 206C, seller has been defined at various places. Now there is a special definition of seller for the purpose of subsection 1H. So seller means a person whose total sales, total receipts or turnover from the business carried on by him. So now very important thing is total sales, receipts or turnover from the business carried on by him exceed 10 crore rupees during the financial year immediately preceding the financial year in which the sale of is carried out. So in for simple meaning is, for example, we are standing in financial year 2021. If the turnover of the person in the financial year 1920, that is 1 year immediately preceding the current financial year, if that amount exceeds 10 crore, then he comes under the definition of seller. Now this 10 crore would be inclusive of GST, excessive of GST. Again, there's a question. We will discuss that. So before we go on to a lot of questions, first we will go on the overview of the provision. So provision says that levy is on the person who is a seller of goods. Person is defined at 231, so it's basically wide to cover everybody. Trigger is on the seller who receives an amount of consideration for sale of goods exceeding 50 lakh rupees. Seller shall collect from the buyer a sum equal to 0.1% of sale consideration exceeding 50 lakhs is valid when it's provided. Now now this is okay, and the provisions are effective from 1st October 2020. So now there are 2 other important things that we have to consider. So the question normally came is that what if the TCS is collected from the by the buyer, or like by the seller from the buyer, what happens next? So there is a section 206 subsection 4 which says that any amount collected and paid to the government of India shall be deemed to be payment of tax on behalf of the buyer, and credit shall be given to such person for the amount so collected. So जैसे normally हमको TDS का credit मिलता है, similarly TCS credit will be there under section 206C subsection 4. And there is again a rule 37I sub rule 2A which says that the credit will be given in the same assessment year in which the previous year in which the collection is made. So as we have for TDS, similar provisions are there for TCS also, that the credit will be given. Now coming to goods. Now as we said in this first definition, that the trigger point is consideration on sale of goods. So what are goods? So goods as such are not defined in Income Tax Act. So for that we'll have to go to the definition of goods as per there are 2 acts. So Sale of Goods Act, which is very specific for goods, and second obviously is the GST Act. So GST Act normally deals with the supply and the goods, definition of goods in terms of supply. So to be very specific, the Sale of Goods Act will be what we'll be referring to. So goods means every kind of movable property other than actionable claims and money, and includes stock, shares, growing crops, grass, and all the things. So what we normally say that any kind of a movable property is goods. Now what about immovable property? Obviously they are not goods. So we will discuss about that also later on. So now coming to a few circulars. So this is an overview of the entire section. Now there were a lot of confusion, there were a lot of apprehension that the trade industry had. So the government came up with 2 important circulars. First basically was circular number 17, which came on 29th of September, and it had brought up a few clarifications just 2 days before the provision got effected. So first, what did the government said? It said that basically in case of this was basically transactions carried through various exchanges. So suppose there are transactions in securities which are traded through recognized stock exchanges. Are they covered under this provision? And the government clarified that if they are traded through and settled through recognized clearing corporations, then these transactions will not be covered under 206C1H. The most important thing, I think, as we all are waiting for this, is what will be the threshold criteria. हमारा जो 50 लाख का लिमिट है वो हमको कब से गिनना है? So they have very well clarified that sales, this section is not applicable before 1st October. So for example, if my sales has happened from 1st April till 30th of September, it is okay. If I have received any amount from the period 1st April to 30th of September, it is okay. But if that amount exceeds 50 lakh rupees, then whatever amount I receive from 1st October, I have to start collecting TCS on that amount. That is number one. Second, what they mentioned is that for the threshold of 50 lakhs, it is very well clarified that we have to consider receipt from the for the last 6 months, so 1st April to 30th of September. So giving an example, for example, I have a so don't consider the sales as a mercantile basis. Consider the receipt amount. So if I have received, let's say, 75 lakhs from 1st April 2020 till 30th of September 2020. Now, whatever amount I received, since the amount has already exceeded 50 lakhs, whatever amount I received on 1st October, the amount I have to collect TCS at the rate of 0.075%. Now, for example, in the last 6 months from 1st April to 30th of September, if I have collected, let's say, 40 lakhs, so I have a leeway of another 10 lakhs. So for the next 10 lakhs, I need not collect. And after that, whatever amount I get from 1st October onwards, I'll have to collect at the rate of TCS at the rate of 0.075%. For the motor vehicle, they have clarified the sales of motor vehicle. If it is under subsection 1F, then not applicable. If it is not, then TCS will have to be collected under 1H, provided all the other conditions that the total amount of 50 lakhs benefit is given, and all those things are clarified. Now, a very important amendment change regarding the GST, because obviously sales return, discount, all these effects were not given. So they clarified that whatever are the adjustments on account of sales return, on account of discount, will not have to be given. Very important. So the question was, whatever amount I received, whether I have to consider GST also and then collect, or I have to exclude GST. So they have clarified that no adjustment has to be made. So simple words, if you have received 100 rupees plus 18 of GST, 118 rupees, you have to collect TCS on 118 rupees of 0.075%. So, and I think it is practically also a very good decision, because normally what happens if in case there is a bill in which there are different rates of GST, for example, 5%, 12%, 18%, then whatever, if you have received part payment, now how to segregate the things and all. So to make it very simple, very clear, they have made that inclusive of GST, you have to collect TCS amount. They have also clarified that in case of the fuel supplied to non-resident airlines, TCS will not have to be collected. They have again clarified the circular. Now, after this circular on 29th of September, there came a press release on 30th of September. Now, this press release gave a further few clarifications. I just noted on the important points. First and foremost, it mentioned that TCS is applicable only on the amount received after 1st October. So they give an example. Suppose 1 crore received before 30th September and 5 lakh received after 1st October, then TCS will be applicable on which amount? Whether it will be applicable on 55 lakhs, 50 lakhs or 5 lakhs. The answer is it will be applicable on only 5 lakhs, because only 5 lakhs has been received after 1 crore after 1st October, and the threshold limit has already been exhausted. Second clarification they gave that whether every transaction will attract TCS. The answer no. The answer says that only the receipt of sale consideration is more than 50 lakhs, TCS will be applicable. Then the third, a very important clarification that they gave is if the seller is maintaining a running account of the buyer. ये normally होता ही है, मेरा एक buyer का running account है, मेरे पास जो भी sales हो रहे हैं, I keep on crediting the buyer, I keep on making the payments, I keep on getting the payments. The payments are not linked to any particular invoice. In that case, again, we have to go by the receipt basis. If the amount has been received is more than 50 lakhs from 1st April to 30th of September, then from 1st October we'll have to collect TCS. Now they have clarified that TCS is not an additional tax; it is just a nature of advance tax. उन्होंने clarify किया, obviously the buyer will be getting the credit, and they have mentioned that as of now only 3.5 lakh persons have disclosed turnover of more than 10 crore in the financial year 18-19. And 18 lakh entities are already under TDS. So for them, they said that though it is a compliance burden, but people are already used to it, and there are very less people will be affected. So that is what they have clarified. Now coming to a few frequently asked questions that we had come across. So what I'll do is I'll first take all the FAQs that I think are important, and then if you have any other further questions, we can also deal with that. So as we said, who is liable to collect tax on sale of goods? So the answer is every seller who has basically turnover of exceeding 10 crores in the previous financial year. Now the question comes in. For example, my financial year 1920, my turnover of 15 crores. In the financial year 2021, my turnover is only 9 crores. Then in the financial year 21-22, I need not collect TCS on sale of my goods. That is the first thing. Second, I think there are normally it is said that there are how do you collect TCS? So normally there are two views. First says that you have to basically add on the entire sales invoice. आप अगर 50 लाख से ऊपर हो रहा है तो आप sales invoice में TCS ऐड कर दो, and then whenever you get received you pay. That is the first option. Second option, and I prefer the more convenient option, is whenever you receive any amount, raise a debit note and collect the TCS. Because why it will be beneficial is because if you are on a broader line case, for example, so 1 year you're 10 crore, other year you're 5 crore, other year 15 crores. In that case, if you have already raised a bill with TCS, the provision that you have already done, next year if you are not liable to collect, you have to reverse that entry. So to avoid all these things, it's better to collect TCS only on whatever amount that you receive. Now, second is from whom tax should be collected. As we said, it is to be collected from the buyer. And buyer also we say that we have only if the amount exceeds 50 lakhs. The buyer, the list of persons we have already said from whom to be collected. Now, coming to third is regarding what is the timing of collection. Very important. TCS on sale has to be collected on the receipt of the amount. It has nothing to do with your entries in the books of accounts. For example, if I have a sale of 4 crores, 4 crores, and I have not received even a single penny, I need not need to collect. I need not have to collect TCS on that amount. So timing obviously has to be on the receipt. Now coming to next question, which talks about. So this is basically an example which was also given for the taxman. Simple example which says that you can see in the financial year 1920, if the sale is 60 lakh rupees, I have received 20 lakhs. Outstanding is 40 lakhs. So TCS will be collected. Answer is nil because I have not exhausted my limit of 50 lakhs. In that case, TCS will not be levied. In the next year, 2021, sale is 70 lakh rupees. My opening debtors were 40 lakhs. So out of the total 1 crore 10 lakhs, that is my outstanding now, I have received 1 crore, and out of that 55 lakhs were received before 30th September. In that case, whether TCS will be levied, the answer would be it will be levied only on the balance portion of 45 lakhs because 55 lakhs was received before 30th September. So 45 lakhs was assuming was received after basically from 1st October onwards. Hence TCS at 1% will only be collected on 4500. In the 1920, this provision was not there. Hence, as such, also TCS was not required to be collected. Now, 21-22, we say that the sale was 55 lakhs, opening was 10 lakhs. So it comes to 65 lakhs. Out of that, we have received only 45 lakhs. So in that case, we are not supposed to collect TCS because the limit of 50 lakhs is not exhausted. And next year again, we can see opening of 55 lakhs. We have the outstanding of opening of 20 lakhs. We have done sale of 55 lakhs, comes to 75 lakhs total outstanding. We have received 65 lakhs. So 65 minus 50 exemption that we get, only on 15 lakhs, 1%, that is 1500 will have to be collected as TCS. So this limit of 50 lakhs has to be looked into every year. Hence, it is advisable for us to do the collection basis on the basis of the receipt basis. Now coming to the next very important thing, is a non-resident selling goods from outside India required to collect TCS? The answer is no. Why? Because the definition of buyer we had seen that any person importing goods into India is out of the definition of buyer. So if, as I said, there are two parties, seller and buyer. If he does not fulfill the criteria of a buyer, then in that case TCS will not have to be collected. Now, very important thing, as we discussed, in the absence of any definition of goods. So we also at Gujarat Chamber also in the different forums, we have made a lot of representations on the TCS. One of that is also to clarify what is goods because there is a lot of confusion whether software is goods for this or not. So we have to be very specific. If we don't have, obviously we have an option of taking goods definition from the Sale of Goods Act and or the GST. But I will prefer Sale of Goods Act because they're more specific items. So these are all things: movable property, commodity, shares, electricity, fuel, motor vehicle, all these will, liquor, even jewelry, art and drawing, all these things will fall under the definition of goods. Now, next question is whether a transaction in securities to stock exchanges shall be covered by TCS. As we said in the clarification circular, they have said it will not be covered. They have already clarified by circular number 17. TCS on sales on immovable property. So immovable property again is not a good. Second, even immovable property has a TDS under 194 IA. Hence, there will be no TCS on this amount. Now coming to motor vehicle, we have already seen if it is covered under 1F, then TCS on this 1H is not covered. But if not covered there, then the amount has to be collected. So normally, manufacturer. I think there was an old circular. There was a circular 2016 wherein it was clarified that the manufacturer, if he sells sell vehicle to the dealer, in that case 1F is not applicable. But the dealer selling it to the consumer, 1F is applicable. So for the first leg, manufacturer to dealer, this might be triggered. And second, they have also clarified the circular. For example, a dealer is selling to a consumer, the amount is not exceeding 10 lakhs per transaction. But there are 3 or 4 cars purchased during the year, and the aggregate exceeds 3 or 4, 5 cars purchased, and the aggregate exceeds 50 lakhs receipt. In that case, the even though it is from the consumer, then the dealer will have to collect under 206C1H. Now coming to electricity, yes, you have discussed, it is covered. Now non-resident airlines you have discussed, they have been clarified, they not be covered. Sale of jewelry by a jeweler, yes, because there is no exception, it is goods, so hence it is covered. What about resale of goods? So for example, if I'm a salaried person, I have some jewelry purchase and I'm selling the goods, but I'm not, this is not my business. In that case, the TCS will not have to be collected. Now additional allied out of the pocket expenses. So normally what happens is there are 2 ways of raising invoice. I raise an invoice inclusive of all the expenses. In that case, in my opinion, this kind of amount should be considered part of a sale consideration. But if there are 2 different invoices, wherein one is considering to only sales, other is for out of pocket expenses, in that case, the TCS on sales will not have to be collected. So it depends upon how you account the transactions. Now, what rate tax is to be collected? As I said, 0.1% of the amount received. But for the financial year 2021, they have come up with a special, because of the COVID thing, they have given 25% discount kind of a thing, wherein we have to collect only 0.075% till March 2021. Now coming to threshold. So as I said, for the current year, threshold will be from 1st April, and every year this threshold limit will have to be checked before collecting TCS. Whether TCS to be collected on total invoice value including GST, the answer is yes. They have clarified also in the circular that on the total value that we get, we have to collect TCS. Now whether TCS has to be collected on the advance received from the buyer. So what happens? Suppose there is no sale in the current year. In the month of November, I get 75 lakh rupees as an advance. And because of some reason the sale does not happen this year, it happens next year. So even if the amount is received in the current year as an advance, TCS of 0.075% will have to be collected, because the amount, again I said, the trigger point is a receipt. It is not sale, it is a receipt. So hence it is to be collected. Now coming on whether advance received before 1st October for sale to be made after. So what happens normally? For example, I got an advance in the month of July and the sales actually happen in the month of November. Whether TCS will be applicable? The answer is no, because advance was received before 1st October when the law was not there. Those sales happened afterwards. Since the receipt is not there after 1st October, hence TCS will not be liable to be collected. Again, clarified by the circular number 17. Now, any loan is to be covered? The answer is no. Loan is outside outside the ambit of this provision. Now, transfer of goods from one branch to another. Again, there is no need to collect TCS because it is not again in the receipt basis. Credit note treatment. So very important. So again, they have said, clarified in the circular that whatever amount you receive, no adjustment has to be given for the credit note or whatever. So basically, all these things are not to be adjusted. Whatever you received, post credit note or pre credit note, that amount you have to collect TCS. Now, load deduction, I think very, very important. Can a buyer apply for load deduction? The answer is no, because normally what happens in 206C subsection 9, there's a provision for going for a load deduction certificate to the assessing officer, but that does not cover 1H. It covers 1 and 1C. So 1H is not covered, but as such there is only 0.1% only, but we cannot go for load deduction then. How to deposit TCS? Obviously TCS has to be deducted. Basically we have to deposit by the challan that we do TDS. It has to be deposited before 7th of the next month. And again, after depositing TCS, we'll have to basically also file TCS returns, which the TCS returns has to be filed quarterly. These are the due dates for 15. So normally TDS returns have a due date of 31st of the next month after the quarter. TCS have 15th of the next month after the quarter. So for the month of the first return will come in the month of January. So for the October to December quarter, 15 January is the date of filing the form 27 QE. Now there are questions then what will be covered in the Form 27 QE. So till date they have not revised the Form 27 QE, but what we understand is that they might include something like opening debtors collected during the collected during the period, sales undertaken during the period, and the closing debtors. This might be an information that they can capture, because that is how only they can track whatever we have received during the said quarter. So this is what will be the TCS on sales. Now, if you have not filed TCS return, the same consequences as you have for TDS, 234E is levied, 200 rupees per day, and there's a penalty of 274H also. Now, before I go on to the next topic, my first question, I think, apart from this question is, for example, if there is a businessman has a turnover of more than 10 crores, and hence these provisions are applicable. Now, suppose that businessman also is a proprietor, he sells personal jewelry. Now, whether he will have to collect TCS on that or not? I think if you can answer in the chat box. Answer is no. Okay. Okay, so no. I think Hirachanji said yes. Everybody says no. On receipt of consideration. Okay. Answer is no. Okay. So I'll take you back again. This is a. So I'll take you back to the definition of TCS on what we discussed. So I think more or less more questions are covered, but I'll take you through the definition. So definition of TCS as we discuss here, it talks about every person who receives an amount as consideration for sale of any goods. Now, so the point here is that the word that they've used is being a seller. Now, if I am a seller, for example, I have a more than 10 crores of business receipt and turnover, and I'm a seller. The amount word that they use is received as consideration for sale of any goods. So if I am selling any goods, in that case, though it will be a little strict interpretation, but I would say that if I'm an individual, I am having a business, I am a seller, there is a buyer, and if the goods do not fall in the exception, in that case, sale of any goods will be broad enough to cover even the sale of jewelry or whatever thing I sell as an individual. Again, that will be too wide as an interpretation, but I think some clarification would be required. Otherwise, this will be interpreted in a very wide terminology. So I think there's a question: if collective invoice is prepared for service and goods, TCS will be on the goods. Yes. So whenever there are two portions, it is always advisable to have separate invoices. TCS will always be applicable on the goods. So it's always better to have two separate invoices, one for the service portion, one for the goods. Personal jewelry. So yes, as I said, TCS should be collected in this. Yes. So GST has a different. You said that GST on sale of personal jewelry. No. So GST is a separate topic altogether. GST will not be collected on that. But TCS, as the section is currently worded, because they have mentioned any goods. Now here they have not mentioned goods again for the business purposes. It's any goods. So again, it's one of my interpretations. We can expect some clarification also on this. Next question, Rakesh is asking, my last year turnover would not exceed 10 crores. Secondly, I'm not doing any business, so shall not be covered. Okay, my last year is not exceeding 10 crores, and if you're not doing business, then obviously it will not be covered. Credit note is due to be deducted from invoice. No, I think credit note, as they have said, no adjustment has to be done. Whatever you receive, for example, there are two credit notes. One is the GST credit note, and another is the financial credit note. So whatever you make an adjustment, and the balance amount that you receive on that amount, TCS will have to be collected. We have to see 50 lakhs criteria for that. So I'll take a few questions now. Only sale in November is 60 lakhs, received in March 21, 40 lakhs, and in May 21, 20 lakhs. TCS in 1920 and 21 nil for both year. Chandrakanji, I'm not getting a question. So you are saying only sale in November is 60 lakhs. You have received 40 lakhs in the month of March. Okay. So if for the financial year 2021, you are received only 40 lakhs. Hence, TCS will not be applicable. In the month of May, you receive balance 20 lakhs. Again, your TCS is not applicable because the 50 lakhs limit is per year. So in both the things, TCS will not have to be collected. The answer will be nil. Yes. Now, trading entities will badly affect TCS. Every purchase and sale will affect TCS. Yes. So see, basically, as Sachinji rightly mentioned, that TCS is a kind of an additional compliance that we are supposed to do. It is not something which will be a lot of value addition to us. when I talk about the business community. It is more for the data mining for the government. I don't know what they want to achieve with this. Basically, I think I will cover in the Form 26AS also. Now they are basically including everything in Form 26AS. So they basically want a 360-degree profiling of every SSE. I think I can gather upon that. So Sanjeev ji is asking, if invoice is 60 lakhs and credit note 20 lakhs, then on balance 40 lakhs received, TCS to be applicable? No. So again, Sanjeev ji, as he said, you have received only 40 lakhs. So irrespective of credit note, debit note, only on 40 lakhs TCS will not be applicable. Whether TCS is applicable on slump sale of the business. So again, we are not receiving anything. Now the question is, slump sale, as you are doing, there is only a transfer of inventory. Without assigning individual amounts to each and every amount, you're giving an entire amount. So that if that amount as such will be kind of, if it again, the issue is whether slump sale will be considered as a goods. That is a question that we have to think about. I'm not very sure about this. I think it should not be applicable there. The farm produce is TCS applicable. So farm produce, if it is not under 206C1, TCS will be applicable. There is no exception as such. So as I said, only 3.5 lakh traders are affected, not entire. Reply to Sachin. Okay, yes. So this is basically their viewpoint, that that they are only considering 3.5 lakhs, but they are not considering the fact that the entire compliance burden would be additional into what we are already seeing. COVID times is very difficult now. So it is not. So Jitendra ji asked, it is not applicable to service industry. Yes. So for service industry, for professionals like us, TCS on sale of goods, because if they have very clarified TCS on sale of goods, it will not be levied. Now there's another question. TCS is on receipt exceeding 50 lakhs irrespective of invoices raised. That also yearly correct my understanding. Yes, sir. Your understanding is absolutely right. Irrespective of whatever invoices you raise. Now I'll add on to what your question is. If suppose I have done a sale of, let's say, 2 years before, and the debtors are still outstanding. At that time, there was no TCS provision. But after 2 years, if I have got any amount, if I received any amount, and if that amount exceeds 50 lakhs, I'll have to collect TCS on that amount. So irrespective of whether you do sales in current year, last year, even there's a bad debt recovered. Now go to another extent. I have written off some debts last year. This year I was lucky. They have paid me the amount. If that amount exceeds 50 lakhs on the bad debt recovered, that amount will also fall under the TCS provisions. What is the due date for March month payment? Due date for the month of March is 7th April. So normally, as we said, 192(1)(a) and TCS, the date is not 30th April, it is 7th of April. Is TCS applicable on freight? No, freight is a service. TCS will not be applicable. TCS applicable on sale of goods to SEZ EOU? Yes. So a very good question from Mayuresh ji. TCS will be applicable on sale of goods to SEZ EOU and even to merchant export. The reason is they have not mentioned export. What they have mentioned is exported out of India. So until and unless SEZ is something in India, though it is a deemed foreign entry, though it is a deemed export, but the goods are still in India. EOU is also in India, and similarly merchant exporter, we are just selling it to the merchant exporter. So in my view, and obviously as per the wordings, TCS will have to be collected on sales of goods to SEZ, EOU or to merchant exporter. Transport and freight charges, it is services, TCS will not be applicable. So farm products are not exempted, yes. So that is okay. Transport and freight charges are to be included to select, no. So again, as you are raising your invoices, so if you're raising invoices for services separately, they will not have to be included in the turnover criteria. If you're including the same invoice, it will be forming part of the sales. In that case, yes, it will be included part of your turnover. TCS applicable on commission received? No, commission is a service. TCS will not be applicable. Goods exported outside India and not export to the query. Okay, so yes, so Mayureji, as he said, goods exported out of India, you rightly answered your question. That not only exports, goods exported out of India has to be the answer. So lounge services with common. So again, if there are all services, in that sense, TCS will not be applicable. Okay, if TCS is on advance receive after sales is not made. So if now the practical issue is that if you are supposed to receive in advance and sale is not made, in that case on the advance you will have to collect TCS. Now if the sales is not made, let us see if there is any provision to revise the TCS returns like we do in the TDS. So TDS में क्या होता है? If I suppose I revise the TDS returns on the sale of immovable property, for example, the amount that I have already collected, that amount becomes the advance tax for the other person. If that same mechanism works for TCS, we'll have to see. But as of now, they have not clarified because even the TCS returns will be undergoing change now. TDS and merchant exporter applicable, yes. TDS and works contract will be under 194C. So TDS, which is already there under TDS, will be applicable. Hence, TCS is not applicable on that. SEZ sold to goods to domestic customers, yes. as I said, if the goods are not actually exported out of India, TCS will have to be collected. Whether for the composite services, so composite services, no, TCS will not be applicable. If SEZ sold goods to domestic customers, SEZ, yes, the answer will be, it will be collected, TCS will have to be collected. Okay, so Selja ji asked for, can you elaborate on the buyer importing goods clause? Okay, so one of the examples I can take is, for example, there is a high sea sales. You know, for example, I am basically, I am a seller. I have imported some amount and I have sold certain amount to the only high seals to certain to, let's say, Mr. A, and Mr. A has finally sold it to Mr. B, who is actually the importer. So for my transactions with Mr. A, Mr. A is not importing the goods in India, so Mr. A will be a buyer, but Mr. B will not be a buyer. So I have to collect TCS at the first leg. So that is how you can see whether the buyer import is a buyer is the ultimate person who is importing goods or not. The TCS is applicable on developers. Developers, again, it depends upon the land is, again, we have to see whether it's immovable property or it's a developers, again, normally deal with immovable property, and TCS is not there on the immovable property. Plus there is 194 IA, that implications will also will have to see. Now in case of software, as Sachinji said, there are two views now in income, as you rightly said. In case of there are for the purposes of VAT, it was considered as good. For the purpose of service tax, they were considered as services. So income tax also has, I think in 2012 they come up with an amendment wherein they said that software is a royalty, hence TCS. So normally, in my view, if you consider, until there is any clarification, if TDS is deducted on section 194J or 195 in case of non-resident, in that case TCS on software will not have to be collected. But however, there are certain off-the-shelf software. For example, ready-made software मुझे खाली जाके purchase करना है. In that case, it will be considered as goods. There is a Supreme Court judgment on that also, wherein, as you rightly said, for the VAT purposes. So in that case, if they are considered as goods, in that case TCS will have to be collected. Is TCS to charge an invoice or at the time of receipt? So how to deal for credit note? Okay, so Sanjeev ji, your question is on invoice. So normally, as I said, there are two views. Either you raise a bill of 100 rupees plus 18 of GST, it comes to 118 rupees. You add TCS to that and raise a bill. That is the first option. Second, you directly raise a debit note when you get the amount received. Now, I will always prefer for the second option because two things. First is, it is very difficult to track bill-to-bill payment. Second, if your applicability of TCS varies, like current year, because the turnover is 10 crores, you are liable. 50 lakhs limit is liable. Now next year there's a fresh threshold limit of 10 crores, there's a fresh threshold limit of 50 lakhs. So why do we do that? Why do we include in the bill? Rather, whenever we receive any amount from the customer, that time there's a debit note for the TCS amount and then accordingly paid to the government. Now, as you said, for the contractor composite services, please clarify works contract with goods and services price embedded together. So works contract normally will fall under 194C. If it is there and TDS is deducted on the works contract, then it will be out of the scope of the section of TCS. Because normally works contract falls under the section 191. Normally TDS is deducted on that account. So any other questions? I think we can move ahead. We can take rest questions at the end. Because we have something more to cover. Can we move ahead? I think if all are okay, we can move ahead.
Yes, that is by yes.
Yeah. Okay. So now TCS इतने सारे questions से इतने सारे clarifications चाहिए, फिर भी government was adamant of coming in on 1st October. Obviously, it would have been better if it would have brought on 1st of April if they wanted to, but it's okay. Now we have to live with that, and let us see if the government has come up with a more clarification on that. So now after this, something which I'm going to cover is on the on the tax audits. I think this year, as I said about the income tax thing. So coming straight away to the important topic on the tax audit, I think I'm not going to cover tax audit report. I'm going to cover the important things. So as we know, there are many audits that we all are doing day in and day out. Tax audit is one of them. And basically all the audits that we do under the Income Tax Act are termed as tax audit. We'll be focusing on 44AB as of now. So as professionals, I think let us have some serious discussion on this before you go ahead. First is, how many of us accept tax audit assignment on 27th of September? In this case, 27th of October, and finalize the same on 30th. हम लोग 3-4 दिन के अंदर tax audit कर देते हैं. कितने लोग हम लोग करते हैं? Does your client prepare financial statements and hand over before the audit commences? Financial statements बनाने की responsibility client की होती है, पर client बनाता है कि हम बनाते हैं? Third is, if the audit points out errors affecting profitability, does your client pass adjustment entries to ensure that the profit figures do not change? Does it happen? We have to ask ourselves, does we maintain books of accounts of the client as well as conduct the audit? I think majority will be saying no, and it should be. And do you conduct? So actually क्या होता है, हम लोग actually ये कर रहे हैं, actually we conduct the audit of non-corporate entities. Actually we do because of the shortage of time. Do we ensure compliance with and disclosure as per the accounting standards and wherever Ind AS is applicable? And now even ICDS is there. I think I was discussing with one of the chartered accountants, ICDS is such an important compliance which we are not doing. We're just reporting for the purpose of reporting. It has to be taken very seriously. And are we ensuring compliance with the Income Tax Act? So these are all the things that we as professionals can introspect and think about. Because I'm giving you this background because there was, I think most of you would be aware of this report that was done by the CNAG. CNAG ने tax auditors के ऊपर एक they had done an audit of the tax audit reports that were issued by the chartered accountants, and some of the findings of this report were literally shocking. I'll just share a few of them. I think there is something on the chat. Okay, so we will take the questions later on. We will just go through this the tax audit report now. So one of this report is publicly available, and this report has basically gotten a lot of important and very shocking things that the tax auditor had reported. I'm just going to take you with a few things. So some of the important audit findings are as follows: that tax auditors failed to give correct information relating to the allowance of depreciation in 66 cases. मतलब हम लोग जो भी टैक्स ऑडिट में रिपोर्ट कर रहे हैं, जो भी हमारे असेसमेंट्स हो रहे हैं, उन सबका भी एक रिपोर्ट बनता है कि हम लोगों ने कैसे रिपोर्ट किया है. एंड दीज आर ऑल द फाइंडिंग्स. Tax auditors did not report correct information regarding brought forward loss or depreciation, resulting in irregular brought forward loss in 46 cases involving short levy of tax. In 42 cases, personal or capital expenditure were incorrectly allowed, as the tax auditors did not mention in the report the amount. CA had certified wrong information for various exemptions and deductions in 74 cases. So these are all the, you can see the incorrect, incomplete information in tax audit report. So all these are the findings that this CNAG report had done in 2015. उन्होंने बोला कि ये सारे हमारे loopholes थे जो हमको we had to work on. And more shocking was that they have also furnished a few samples. Now I'll just read out what are the disqualifications that have happened. Now first is one of the CA had mentioned the SSC claimed additional depreciation of 11 crore on plant and machinery based on the tax audit report, which was disallowed by the assessing officer as the activity of construction could not be treated as manufacturing activity. No, normally क्या होता है, हमारे articles, हमारे junior staff हमारे tax audit report बनाता है, वहाँ पे कुछ चीजें ऐसी आती है जो हम लोग शायद overlook कर लेते हैं. So then this is absolutely baseless. your construction activity में कैसे additional depreciation ले सकते हैं? But the tax auditor had mentioned that. Again, this is again a very shocking thing wherein here you can see here tax auditor had mentioned that while we have broadly verified the payments on which tax was deducted at source, while the SSC has mostly complied with the law, but due to volume of transactions, we are not in a position to confirm that tax has been deducted. Hence, we recommend an ad hoc disallowance of 5 lakhs. Now, it is absolutely vague statement done by the tax auditor. So all these things are getting captured. Now, there is another provision wherein TDS नहीं काटा है, tax auditor ने report नहीं किया है, वो सब चीजें इसके अंदर दी हुई है. So we have to be now very careful because now even at the institute level, we have the taxation quality review board, taxation audit quality review board. जैसे उनका quality review board है, which takes into account the listed entities or the bigger entities on the statutory audit. एक statutory audit quality review board एक नया जो बना है 2018 में, वो हमारे tax audit reports को भी audit करेगा. So we have to be very careful now. And these are two very good publications of the institute. One is the guidance note on tax audit of 2014 edition, and the implementation guide which came in 2018. So now a few questions to start with. First is now I think we all tax audit. I think most of us are aware. Before you go on to the amendments, okay, there is just a minute. And directly go to section first. Okay. So that I think tax audit, we all are aware about the legislative history of the tax audit. It came in the year 1984, and I'll just take you through the very important memorandum. I'll show you that the memorandum explaining the provisions of Finance Bill 1984. The compulsory audit is intended to ensure proper maintenance of books of accounts and other records in order to reflect the true income of the taxpayer and to facilitate the administration of tax laws by a proper presentation of the accounts before the tax authorities. This would also save time of the assessing officers considerably in carrying out the verifications. So this was the basic objective of tax audit कि हम लोग क्योंकि इतनी सारी population का tax audit normally income tax officers could not directly go and assess them. Tax auditors were basically appointed to look after their accounts and all. So now, post that, we have seen that the tax audit has undergone major changes. You can see here that this is the way it has been involved. So 1984 के बाद they have been involved in so many years. You can see in 2004 all the forms were revised. In the 2013 it was a major breakthrough wherein e-filing of tax audit reports was made mandatory. So I remember when we were doing our articleship, there was no requirement. 2008, 9, 10, there was no requirement to do to furnish a hard copy or to online copy of the tax audit report. In 2013 came the e-filing of tax audit reports, which was made mandatory. In 2014, clauses were revised and new clauses were added. In 2018, they had modified 6 clauses, added 9 clauses. Especially now there are 44 clauses, which 2 clauses getting deferred now. The one on the GAR and one on the GST compliances. So even for the current year, they have deferred it till March 21. There are only 42 clauses to be reported. Now the schema, okay, keeps on evolving. Now coming to the straight away to the important topic on the 44. I'll take you to the section of 44 AB. So yes, so we all know about this. There's a section 44 AB which talks about the turnover of business exceeds 1 crore or 5 crores. We'll discuss that. Rule G which prescribes the forms for tax audit report. Form 3CA is a tax audit report for if the accounts are audited under any law. 3CB audit report in any other case. 3CB is a statement of particulars. And to section 271B is a penalty that is to be levied. Now coming to the section 44AB and why I'm going to consider it very important because this year in the Finance Act 2020 they came up with a major amendment in section 44AB and that was made retrospectively applicable from assessment year 2021. तो हम लोग जो अभी मार्च 20 की बैलेंस शीट्स फाइनल करेंगे जो टैक्स ऑडिट्स करेंगे उसमें we have to take into account these very important amendments. Now first and foremost is if any person is carrying on business shall if the total sales turnover of gross receipts as the case may be in the business exceeds 1 crore in any previous year. So ये सबको पता है clause A of 44AB talks about 1 crore limit for the tax audit purposes. Now they have included proviso to this section now provided first if the aggregate of all amounts received including amount received for sales turnover of gross receipts during the previous year in cash does not exceed 5% of the said amount and aggregate of all payments made including amount incurred for expenditure in cash during the previous year does not exceed 5% of the said payment. So if you fulfill both the conditions, मतलब आपका जो total receive हुआ है current year में, including your sales, including whatever amount you have received, receive and payment account में आपको receive देखना पड़ेगा, उसमें से cash portion कितना है वो निकालना है, and if the cash portion does not exceed 5%, and similarly for your payments, whatever amount you have paid, including the amount paid in cash, आपको cash portion निकाल के cash का percentage देखना है. If that does not exceed 5%, then the limit of 1 crore will be replaced by 5 crores. तो आपको 5 crores का आपका हो जाएगा. तो for example, normally क्या होता है हमारे जो traders होते हैं, जिनका turnover 3, 4, 5 crore का होता है, in that case they were all subject to tax audit last year, but because of GST they have done majority through online banking, through net banking, सब कुछ online on paper हो गया है, cash transactions बहुत कम हो गए हैं. So in that case we'll have to check whether this year they will be liable for tax audit or not. So the first question is here is that what if you do a tax audit? मतलब tax audit में I have all these exceptions. मेरा let's say 4 करोड़ का turnover है और 4 करोड़ में मेरा for example 4 करोड़ के 4 करोड़ मेरा outstanding है. There is no receipt. So I will fulfill all the conditions. So whether I will do tax audit or not, the answer should be no. But what if the SSC chooses to do tax audit? SSC बोलता है कि नहीं मेरे को tax audit करवाना है. तो is it a mandatory thing or it's an optional thing कि मुझे मैं tax audit अपने हिसाब से करवा सकता हूँ? So is tax audit optional or you have an only it is mandatory to do it when it required? Yeah, you can reply in the chat box. So whether tax audit will be optional. Okay, it is not optional as said. The VHG said it is yes, it is optional. No, it is compulsory. Okay. So अगर आप बोल रहे हैं कि below limit है तो optional है मतलब सपोज मेरा टर्नओवर 4 करोड़ का है, and if I fulfill these conditions, so I can still get the tax audit done. If you say optional, it means that thing. So I can still do it. So the answer in my opinion would be no. It is not optional. कि आपको जब चाहिए tax audit कर लो, जब चाहिए नहीं कर लो. It should not be taken that way because of two things. One is, for suppose you are not liable for tax audit and you do it and you do the tax audit. In that case, your return filing date will be from 31st July shifted to 30th of September or 31st of October now. तो एक तो आपने डेट चेंज कर ली, इसलिए आपने टैक्स ऑडिट किया. सेकंड, अगर आपको लॉस है एंड यू डू द टैक्स ऑडिट, इन दैट केस इट विल नॉट बी अलाउड बिकॉज असेसिंग ऑफिसर कैन ऑलवेज से कि आपका टैक्स ऑडिट का जो सेक्शन है, आपका जो बेसिकली डेट ड्यू डेट है, दैट वाज 31st जुलाई, जस्ट फॉर claiming this loss, you have done a tax audit and extended it. So that again will be not tenable position. Plus there is a penalty of 5,000, 10,000 on the late return filing fees if you are filing it. So your due date will be 31st of July only. It is not optional कि आपको मन किया तो मैंने tax audit कर लिया, मन किया तो नहीं किया. In my opinion, that is not optional. So this kind of working which we have to do for every SSC now, कि हमको पहले ये देखना पड़ेगा कि इनका aggregate क्या है. I've prepared a small Excel sheet. I'll share with you of how we will also do that. So this is how we should do it. I think if you think this as a client, now it's a partnership firm or a company, you have to see the total receipts for the company now. So capital receipts भी आपको क्या क्या हो सकती है, आपको पार्टनर कैपिटल आया, सिक्योरिटी प्रीमियम आया, आपको बैंक से कुछ लोन मिला, आपको डायरेक्टर से कुछ पैसा मिला, अमाउंट मिला, सब्सिडी मिली गवर्नमेंट से. So all these things are the capital receipts. Consider revenue receipts from your sales, from your debtors, interest income. These are all the revenue receipts that you will get during the year. इसका टोटल करेंगे हम लोग. इसके सामने हम इसका निकालेंगे कैश का पोर्शन कितना है, तो उसमें से कैश पोर्शन का हम टोटल करेंगे एंड देन वी विल सी व्हाट इज द परसेंटेज ऑफ कैश रिसीट. Now that has to not exceed 5%. Similarly for the payments, capital expenditure में आप देखोगे तो buyback of shares, premium, all these which are done as a capex expenditure आपने जो किया है, और सामने revenue expenses जो purchase के लिए, interest के लिए जो payments किए हैं, उन सबका टोटल करेंगे. उसके साथ में हम उसका देखेंगे कैश का कितना परसेंटेज है. And after deciding whether both the conditions are fulfilling, that is both are less than 5%, in that case tax audit will not be applicable. So clause number A ये था. Clause number B, as we said, it's basically on the profession. If the profession does not exceed 50 lakhs rupees turnover, receipt, sorry, the tax audit will not be applicable. Clause C talks about, I'll just go to clause C, talks about the deemed. So deeming nature का है. अगर 44 AE डबल बी ट्रिपल बी के अंदर अगर आप फॉलो, तो फॉर एग्जांपल फ्लाइंग ऑफ गुड्स कैरेज, नॉन रेसिडेंट फॉरेन कंपनीज के लिए है. इन दैट केस इफ योर इनकम इज लोअर देन द व्हाट यू क्लेम एज अ डीम्ड इनकम, इन दैट केस टैक्स ऑडिट इज कंपलसरी. नाउ अगेन अ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट क्वेश्चन हियर इज, फॉर एग्जांपल इन 44 AE, जो लोग 44 AE का कर रहे हैं, आई थिंक अगर देयर इज फॉर एग्जांपल आई हैव 12 गुड्स कैरेजेस, out of that 9 are owned by me completely, I have paid the amount, and 3 I have taken under hire purchase. So whether I'll be eligible to go for this 44 AE जहाँ पे 10 का लिमिट है, you can just share the answer yes or no. Because this is a normal thing that happens with all the trucks, because they normally purchase on the hire purchase. Hire purchase अगर आप जानते हैं तो only on the last installment of hire purchase I become the actual owner of the asset, is what is the rule. So my question is, I have 44 AE के लिए आपको 10 ट्रक से कम होने चाहिए. अगर आपके 12 ट्रक है, उसमें से 9 ट्रक आपने फुल्ली पेड और ओन्ड है, 3 ट्रक्स आपने लिए हैं ऑन हायर परचेज, जिनका इंस्टॉलमेंट अभी पे करना बाकी है. So whether you can take the benefit of 44 AE, the answer by Deepak ji and Kavita ji is no. Rajesh is saying yes. Anybody else, if you can come up with the answers? Those who are saying no, why? Sanjay ji says yes. So basically I cannot see the people, but I just want to have a little more interactive, because खुद को देख के बोलना is a little difficult at times. So own 10. So Kavita ji says no because he owns 10. So only if owned. So I have, so basically the word is playing. Okay. Flying basically, yeah. So 9 I have basically, so 9 I own, I have paid. Other 3 also I own, but I have purchased on hire purchase, जहाँ पे मेरे installments बाकी है. So this is why it is very important for us as professionals to read the entire section, because 44 AV के अंदर एक explanation है जहाँ पे बोला है कि even अगर आपने hire purchase के लिए अंदर भी लिया है, that will be deemed that you are the owner. irrespective of you have not paid installments or installments are yet to be paid, you'll be deemed to be owner. So in this case, 9 plus 3, 12 will be the number of trucks that he'll be having, and hence he is not eligible for 44 AE. So this is a very important thing that for the goods carriages we have to take into account. Now coming to the clause, clause number D. So the answer D, it talks about the 44 ADA. We all know about ADA, जहाँ पे professionals हैं. If you are a specified professional under 44 AA, and if you are showing your income less than 50% of your gross receipts, in that case you will have to have a compulsory tax audit under 44 clause D. Now the question here is, do we have to consider the amount received as a reimbursement of our expenses or any amount of out of expense of office expense? मैं चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंट हूं, मेरा 49 लाख का रिसीट है और मेरा 6 लाख का रीइंबर्समेंट है फॉर एग्जांपल. नॉर्मली कुछ क्लाइंट्स ऐसे, कुछ लोग ऐसे होते हैं, मैंने क्लाइंट के बिहाफ पे जीएसटी पे कर दिया, क्लाइंट ने मुझे रीइंबर्स कर दिया. अगर मेरा 45 लाख का एक्चुअल रिसिप्ट है एंड 6 लाख का रीइंबर्समेंट पोर्शन है, whether I'll be able to take benefit of 44 ADA or I have to have a compulsory audit under 44 subclause B, maybe subclause B. So the question here is whether the reimbursement amount will be considered in your gross receipts. GST should be included for calculating limit. Yeah, GST, no, GST is separate. GST should not be included. Again, it depends upon which method of accounting you are following. I think I have not covered that, but normally for turnover purposes, हमारे institute ने बहुत अच्छा guidance note में लिखा है, आप inclusive exclusive में से कौन सा follow करते हो? If you are following an inclusive method of accounting, in that case, yes, the answer is yes, it should be considered. But if you follow an exclusive method of accounting, जहाँ पे आप sales and receipts को without GST करते हो and GST को खाली एक balance sheet item बनाया, in that case, it will not be considered for the 50 lakhs limit. Now the question that I was posing was, अगर मेरा 45 lakhs का professional receipts है and 6 lakhs का मेरा reimbursement amount है, in that case, that 6 lakhs will not be considered as my receipts because that is again, I need not do a tax audit. I'll just have an option of going for 44 ADA. Now, okay, I'll take the queries at the end. So now coming to the next question on the 44 subclause E, which I think is very, very important, and I think most of you will be aware. They have considered the 44 AB clause E, which talks about the subsection 4 of AD. So this is very important, as we all know. So before I get on to subsection 4, again another question that I want to take here is that, for example, this is my first year of business. My turnover is, let's say, 95 lakhs, and I am showing a profit of 8 lakhs. Now, whether I have to get the books of accounts audited, or let's say I'm showing a profit of 5 lakhs, and it is totally through, let's say, through cash. So 95 lakhs is the turnover. I am done my entire business through cash. My profit I'm showing is 5 lakhs. Can I? Do I have to take the books of? Do I have to do the audit? Okay, Sanjeev ji says no. Rajesh says yes. Sanjeev ji says no. Okay, yes, no. The answer for yes would be, Rajesh ji, आपका आंसर क्यों yes है? मेरा टर्नओवर 1 करोड़ से कम है. Anybody with this answer of yes or no? Because receipt is cash. Okay, so receipt is cash से क्या फर्क पड़ेगा सर? 44 AD के अंदर कहीं कैश नॉन कैश का खाली 8% and 6% का ऑप्शन है. So if my turnover is let's say 95 lakhs, my gross receipt if you consider entire in cash, मेरे को 8% दिखाना आप जो बोल रहे हो, ठीक है, it comes around 7.5-8 लाख जो भी अमाउंट आता है, उससे मैं कम दिखा रहा हूँ, इसके लिए ऑडिट करवा रहे हो आप. That is the logic that you are thinking on. Tax audit not applicable as profit is more than 8%. No, profit here in my case is less than 8%. I am showing only 5 lakhs. 95 lakhs का 8% आपका around 7.5-8 lakhs के आसपास होगा. I am showing only 5 lakhs. So whether you will be doing tax audit? So these are all the practical things. So ये हम लोग को actually रोज के रोज आती है. So Divyesh bhai says yes. Okay. Limit is below 1 crore. Okay, limit is below 1 crore. So your Sanjeev ji, your answer will be no. Okay, now coming to the answer straight away. I think it is one thing that we have to take into account. Budget 2016 के बाद amendment आ गया है, and now if your turnover is less than 1 crore and if you are showing a profit of even less than 6% or 8% in that case, as the case may be, you need not do your tax audit. Tax audit करने की जरूरत नहीं है. only if you are falling under subsection 4 of section 44 AD. Subsection 4 हम आएंगे तब हम will see what it is. In that case, only tax audit will have to be done. Not if you are falling under subsection 1, जो 8% का criteria बोलते हैं. Okay, now coming to 44 AD के अंदर AB के अंदर I think that's everything we are all aware of. I will quickly go through the definition. We all are aware of this. Now coming to 44 AD. 44 AD एक सिंपल सबको पता है कि हमको फर्स्ट सबसेक्शन 1 बोलता है कि हमको 8% ऑफ द टर्नओवर या 6% अगर वो ऑनलाइन चैनल से है, we have to show it as an income as a deemed profit. In that case we need not have a tax audit done. वो सबसेक्शन 1 बोलता है. Now coming to subsection 2, obviously all deductions will be deemed to be allowed. सबसेक्शन 3 आपका WDV भी deemed to be allowed हो जाएगा, डेप्रिसिएशन मिल जाएगा आपको, वैसा deemed हो जाएगा. Now coming to subsection 4. Subsection 4, the question is subsection 4 talks about where an eligible assessee declares profit for any previous year in accordance with provisions of this section, and it declares profit for any 5 assessment years relevant to the previous year succeeding such previous year, not in accordance with the provisions of subsection 1. इसका मतलब मैं अगर एक साल में 44 AD के हिसाब से 8% दिखाता हूँ, नेक्स्ट ईयर में उससे कम दिखा के टैक्स ऑडिट करवाता हूँ, तो आगे के 5 साल इंक्लूडिंग दैट ईयर, आगे के 5 साल में 44 AD में नहीं दिखा सकता. आई हैव टू कंपल्सरीली गेट द बुक्स ऑफ अकाउंट्स ऑडिटेड. हेंस सेक्शन 44 AD सबसेक्शन 4 के अंदर जो ऑडिट होता है उसका रेफरेंस 44 AB के क्लॉज डी में दिया हुआ है. So we have to be very sure now, as I said in the first example that I gave, if I am not falling under, if I am only falling under this criteria, जब मैंने violation किया है 44 AD का और मैंने AB के अंदर ऑडिट करवाया है, see tax audit is always done under section 44 AB, but for the purpose of clarification we are saying कि 44 AB on AD. Suppose मैंने 44 AD हमने एक साल में लिया है, नेक्स्ट ईयर में 44 AB के अंदर मैंने लो दिखा के ऑडिट करवाया है, तो आगे उस साल और आगे के 5 असेसमेंट ईयर्स तक आई कैन नॉट गो बैक टू 44 AD and I have to do compulsory audit. That is what section 4 talks about, subsection 4 talks about, and that is why I have to do audit under clause D of subsection of section 44 AB. तो जो आपका क्वेश्चन, जो मैंने क्वेश्चन बोला था कि मेरा फर्स्ट ईयर ऑफ बिजनेस है, 90 लाख का टर्नओवर है, मैं अगर 8% से भी कम दिखाता हूँ या 6% से भी कम दिखाता हूँ, आई नीड नॉट गेट द बुक्स ऑफ अकाउंट्स ऑडिटेड. इट इज एब्सोल्युटली फाइन. Now, very important thing, the provision of this section are not applicable to a person carrying on profession. Actually, पहले profession इसका benefit लेते थे, तो वो clarify कर दिया. Person earning income in the nature of commission or any agency business, ये लोग 44 AD का benefit नहीं ले सकते. I think any questions from this 44 AB and AD में कोई question है? Otherwise, I can move ahead. No, okay. So eligible business, any business except 44 AE because का section specific section है, and turnover does not exceed 2 crore. इसका limited to a turnover का 2 crore का. Now 44 ADA is again a very important section. जो SSE being a resident, अगर वो specified profession 44 AA के अंदर आता है और उसका turnover 50 lakh से कम है, in that case he have to show minimum 50% as a of gross as his deemed income. If not, then he will have to have the books of accounts audited. So I think these are the main 3 sections. Now before I go on to further, let me ask you a simple question. Now there is a doctor की खुद की मेडिकल रिसिप्ट भी है और साथ में उसकी एक फार्मेसी शॉप भी है जो इंडिविजुअल में करता है. So if he has a medical receipt of let's say 45 lakhs and he has a pharmaceutical income, जो उसकी ट्रेडिंग का इनकम है, that let's say that amount is 90 lakhs and he shows less than 8% of the profit in that pharmaceutical वाला जो उसका ट्रेडिंग बिजनेस है, can he do that? Now the answer is, can he take a benefit of the 44 AD section? What is the minimum limit for non-professionals? See, non-professionals के लिए तो आपको बिजनेस में जाना पड़ेगा, जो स्पेसिफाइड नहीं है उनके लिए सेक्शन 44 ADA नहीं है. It is not applicable for them. So Rajesh ji is replying yes. For the doctor case, you are replying yes. Okay. Anybody else with yes or no for the doctor case, or should I repeat the question? The question is, if a doctor is there, doctor is having his own professional receipt of 45 lakhs. He is also doing a trading in pharmaceutical, having a pharmaceutical shop. Shop का turnover 90 lakhs है. Can he show 8% of the 90 lakhs or 6% of 90 lakhs? What will be the answer? So I think yes is the answer, as Rajesh ji said, but the answer in my opinion would be no. because as I rightly said that a person who is a professional, he cannot take a benefit of 44 AD. अगर वो प्रोफेशनल है या कमीशन बिजनेस अर्न करता है तो वो 44 AD का बेनिफिट नहीं ले सकता. तो वो डॉक्टर कैन नॉट गो फॉर 44 AD फॉर द ट्रेडिंग बिजनेस, बट यस फॉर हिज प्रोफेशनल रिसीट्स उसका टर्नओवर 45 लाख से कम है तो उसको 44 ADA का कंप्लायंस करना पड़ेगा. So now this year we have to see about 4 different audits. You can see here below 1 crore है तो कुछ करना नहीं है आपको खाली 44 AD लास्ट ईयर का इम्प्लीकेशन देखना है. 1 to 2 crores है, then you have to see 44 AB again, that was 44 AD. अगर 1 to 5 crores का टर्नओवर है आपका 1 to 5 crores है, then you have to see that 5% वाला कैश एंड पेमेंट्स का भी जो ऑप्शन नया है वो वाला, and above 5 crores है, then there's nothing to worry, you have to compulsory get the books of accounts audited. So now I'll quickly go through this. I think as I said, this is the guidance note का extract है जहाँ पे उन्होंने बोला टर्नओवर अगर आप इंक्लूसिव फॉलो करते हो तो आपको टर्नओवर में गिनना है, अगर आप एक्सक्लूसिव फॉलो करते हो देन टर्नओवर में आपको नहीं गिनना है जीएसटी पोर्शन. Now before I go on to the amendments on tax audit report, I just spare 5-10 minutes on this very two important sections, 115 BAA and 115 BAB. This year I think we remember last year I think around September they had come up with this Taxation Laws Amendment Act 2019 basically bill. It became act in December, जहाँ पे उन्होंने कंपनीज को 2 ऑप्शंस दिए थे, ऑल्टरनेटिव टैक्स रेजिम्स. So if you all can recall, there were 2 options. I'll just a snapshot of this. I can show you. This is a 2 schemes. So जो existing companies है, existing companies के लिए ऑप्शन क्या है, या तो आप करंट ईयर में करंट रेजिम में रहो जहाँ पे आपका 17-18 का टर्नओवर 400 करोड़ से कम है तो 25%, 400 करोड़ से ज्यादा है तो आपका 30%. And you take all the benefits of unabsorbed depreciation, additional depreciation, everything you take. Or you switch to a new scheme जहाँ पे आपका tax rate will be reduced to 22% with compulsory surcharge of 10% and education cess of 4%, making it around 25.17%. But in that case, you fail to take the MAT credit, आपका lapse हो जाएगा, आपका unabsorbed depreciation जो है on account of additional depreciation वो भी आपका lapse हो जाएगा, and बहुत सारे benefits आपको नहीं मिलेंगे. So that option to choose, this is the first year when we have to choose this option. So we have to be very careful now that whether we have to go for the existing scheme or section 115 BAA, because once the option is exercised, it cannot be we cannot revert to the old scheme again. So उसके लिए वर्किंग हमारा करना बहुत जरूरी है. And secondly, for the new manufacturing companies which are set up after 1st October 2019, उनके पास ऑप्शन है कि आप लोअर रेट ऑफ टैक्स 15% प्लस 10% सरचार्ज प्लस एजुकेशन सेस में जाओ without MAT. In that case, they have an option of going for a lower rate, which is very beneficial. So in both the new schemes, there is no MAT. Existing scheme, the MAT rate from 18.5 was reduced to 15%. So obviously, those companies who have a large MAT credit receivable, in that case, they will be still continuing with the old scheme. And the other ones might be shifting off, thinking of shifting to the new scheme. So accordingly, whatever decision you make, it is very important to know there are 2 separate forms, Form 10 IC and Form 10 ID for the scheme 1 and scheme 2 that we have to file before the return filing date if you want to claim the benefit of any of these sections. Now, similarly, in this, I can directly take the amendment. So these are 2 rules which are introduced in February, Rule 21AE and 21AF, जहाँ बोलते हैं भी अगर आपको 115 BAA का बेनिफिट लेना है तो आप फॉर्म 10 IC फाइल करो, अगर आपको 115 BAB का बेनिफिट लेना है तो आप 10 ID फॉर्म फाइल करो before the due date of return filing. So this is a new 2 sections which were introduced last year. Now I'll go straight away to the tax audit change. I'll share the presentation, but before that I'll just because of the paucity of time, so this is all done. Documentation, okay, very now coming to the changes in tax audit report. So normally इस साल में क्या चेंज हुआ है, पहला ये है कि आप clause 8, हम लोग clause 8 जो रिपोर्ट करते थे उसके बाद में there's a 8A, whether the SSE has opted for taxation under 115 BA, BAA and BAB. तो हमको ये रिपोर्ट करना है, जैसे मैंने आपको बताया BA is again existing scheme जहाँ पे there were a few SSEs who have taken already that. BAA is the new scheme, as I said, जहाँ पे 22% plus 10% plus 4% is the tax rate, no MAT. BAB is for the new manufacturing companies after 1st October 2019. तो उसका रिपोर्ट 8A के अंदर करना है. And similarly, in clause, you can see here, clause 32 clause part B के अंदर जो clause 18 है, depreciation के बाद में उन्होंने नया टेबल इंट्रोड्यूस किया है. अभी आपका कितना, इसमें क्या होता है कि सपोज मेरा जो unabsorbed depreciation because of additional depreciation, that will be disallowed. तो उसके लिए इन्होंने क्लैरिफाई किया है कि वो अमाउंट है वो आपको 1 अप्रैल 19 में जो ओपनिंग ब्लॉक है उसके अंदर आपको ऐड करना है. तो उसका डिटेल मुझे एडजस्टमेंट में यहाँ पे देना है इन क्लॉज नंबर 1. इन पॉइंट नंबर 2 सीरियल नंबर 32 वेयर टॉक्स अबाउट द ब्रॉड फॉर लॉस और डेप्रिसिएशन अलाउंसेस, उसके अंदर भी मुझे देना है कि मेरा कौन सा, अगर मैं नई स्कीम में जाता हूँ तो मेरा कौन सा डिसअलाउंस है, अलाउंसेस है which I am not going to get in future, hence I am disallowing it. So all these details are now getting captured in the tax audit report, which the tax auditor will have to certify. Now coming to this is a very important thing which we have we have just gone through recently, is that 1st October को जो amendment आया था जहाँ उन्होंने clarify किया कि आपका जो unabsorbed depreciation या जो भी आपका amount disallowance हो रहा है because of the new scheme, you have to add it in the block of the fixed assets of the respective asset on 1st April 2019. Opening block में add हो जाएगा. This was again came on 1st of October. Now coming to Form 26AS changes. Now, I think we all know that Form 26AS is an annual tax statement containing details of various tax. हम लोग को बहुत used to हो गए हैं 26AS से, 2010 से ये है, तो उसके बाद से हमको पता है कि हमको 26AS पर टैली तो करना ही है क्लाइंट का. But this year in the budget 2020, they have introduced a new section now. तो जो आपका Form 26AS 1 जून के पहले था उसका नाम था Annual Tax Statement. Now they have renamed it to Annual Information Statement. So even by the change of name, you can see now they are intended to have more information collected now. So in the budget 2020, they have replaced the section 203AA with a new section 285BB of the Act. They have introduced. So if you know, the new ITR forms were notified on 29th of May. उसके एक दिन पहले 28th of May को CBDT has notified new Form 26AS. तो नाम Form 26AS ही रखा है, उसे खाली नाम चेंज किया एनुअल टैक्स स्टेटमेंट से एनुअल इंफॉर्मेशन स्टेटमेंट. So what are the changes we'll see? This is the old Form 26AS which we all are used to it now. Even if today if you download this 26AS, अभी आपको old format में ही दिखता है, खाली वो SFT का चेंज हुआ, बाकी exactly old format is there. The new format has not taken shape, though it was supposed to be done from 1st June. So this is basically Form 26AS of the earlier thing that we are very much used to: TDS, TCS, PAN, refund, SFT, and TDS defaults. Now in the new 26AS, in the AIR, so you can see in the last 26AS जो पहले वाला था उसके अंदर AIR information के अंदर there was a small point number 4 mentioned, and that 4 only had this 8 different items to be reported. बहुत ही narrow reporting था जो हमको देना पड़ता था. उसके बाद में they have now come up with this requirement of SFT transaction. So you can see now this is a new Form 26AS जहाँ पे नाम उसका AIS हो गया, Annual Information Statement. Rule 114I नया रूल इंट्रोड्यूस किया है जहाँ पे ये फॉर्म इन्होंने इंट्रोड्यूस किया है जहाँ पे there are 7 items to be reported. First will be information relating to TDS and TCS. This we are very much aware of it. Point number 2, information linked to specified financial transaction. तो AIR के अंदर पहले वो 8 आइटम ही थे खाली. Now in the new Form 26AS they have basically linked it to SFT of 285BA. तो हमारे for example if suppose I have basically purchased some shares of a company of more than 10 lakhs in the financial year. Now company has an obligation to report कि company ने अगर कोई receive किया है amount of share more than 10 lakhs in the financial year, they have to report the transaction. तो वो कंपनी जब रिपोर्ट करेगी तो मेरे पर्सनल 26AS के अंदर वो दिखेगा कि भाई हरित ने 10 लाख से ऊपर के कंपनी का शेयर में इन्वेस्टमेंट किया है. तो these things will now be covered as form of Form 26AS. Point number 3, information linking to payment of taxes. Okay, detail of demand and refund. Now, so earlier Form 26AS there was only demand of TDS. Now they are saying any demand. So even an income tax demand of earlier years would be shown here. Point number 5 talks about information relating to pending proceedings and completed. So 5 and 6. Now I don't know how they are going to show it, whether it will be retrospective or prospective, because it is very difficult to compile and compare the earlier information. But now entire details of your income tax and TDS will be now there. What are the pending proceedings? आपका कौन सा complete हुआ, कौन सा section में complete हुआ, order का pass हुआ. This is they envisage to report everything on the Form 26AS. The most draconian of it, I believe, is point number 7, which talks about any other information in relation to sub-rule 2 of 114I. So when we talk about any other information, उसमें भी सबसे important ये है कि उन्होंने ऐसा दे दिया है कि भाई प्रिंसिपल डायरेक्टर जनरल को एक पावर दे दी है कि any information received from any other person to the extent as it may deem fit in the interest of the revenue, उसको भी आप AIS में रिपोर्ट कर दो. तो फॉर एग्जांपल कल उठ के उनको लगता है कि ज्वेलरी में बहुत सारे ट्रांजैक्शंस हो रहे हैं, कैश ट्रांजैक्शंस हो रहे हैं, तो specify that now any amount of jewelry more than 1 lakh I'll have to collect, I have to report in 26 AS. So it might be now starting to appear in form 26 AS. So gradually, I think this is a very draconian point that they are giving a free hand to them for them to basically add everything in form 26 AS. And so now I think hopefully now after some time when we download 26 AS, we just have to click the button submit. Rest all the details of your salary, your house property income, your capital gains, everything will be coming automatically to us. I think this is what they are envisaging. So AIR versus SFT, as I said, पहले AIR जो था वो बहुत restricted reporting था, SFT is much more detailed reporting. Now another change, I think we all are aware TCS rates have been reduced by 25% because of the COVID. I'm not going to discuss much on that. On the ATJJAA, I think a very important change. This section is a very important section, but hardly taken benefit by the professionals or by the basically by the clients. But ये सेक्शन बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है. अगर आपने कोई एडिशनल एम्प्लॉय इस साल में रिक्रूट किया है, so there are a few conditions. For example, I think an SSE who is subject to tax audit. तो नॉर्मली अगर आपको कोई ट्रेडर है वो भी ले सकता है, कोई मैन्युफैक्चरर तो वो भी ले सकता है. देयर इज नो मिनिमम एम्प्लॉय रिक्वायरमेंट. अगर आपने आपके फॉर एग्जांपल मार्च 19 के अंदर आपके 10 एम्प्लॉयज थे और मार्च 20 के अंदर आपके 25 एम्प्लॉयज है, तो जो बैलेंस 15 एम्प्लॉय अपने नए एम्प्लॉय लिए, दो एम्प्लॉयज का पूरे साल का जो आपका सैलरी का पैकेज है उसका 30% additional deduction you get under section 80JJAA, provided you fulfill a few conditions. The conditions are that the employees should be earning less than 25,000 per month, जिनका बेनिफिट ले रहे हैं. The employee should be enrolled in the PF, उनका PF कटना चाहिए. जो हम सैलरी उनको पे कर रहे हैं, that should be by mode other than cash. हम उनको या तो ऑनलाइन बैंकिंग, ECS चेक वैसे पेमेंट कर रहे हैं. And the last is that the employees should have worked with you for 240 days or more in the financial year. इसका मतलब इफेक्टिवली वो अगस्त से पहले आपके वहाँ काम करने एम्प्लॉय हो जाने चाहिए. If you fulfill these conditions, then you get an extra deduction of 30% of the additional employee cost, not for 1 year, but for 3 years. Now, ये सेक्शन में एक प्रॉब्लम था कि जो एम्प्लॉयज मेरे अगस्त के पहले नहीं हुए, लेट्स से दिसंबर में एम्प्लॉय हुए हैं, जो उस साल में तो मेरे फॉल होते ही नहीं है मेरे कैटेगरी के अंदर, बट आगे भी कभी फॉल नहीं हो पाते. तो उनके लिए इन्होंने come up with an amendment in Finance Act 19. They said that for those employees who have not worked for 240 days in a current year because of employment or whatever, in the next year, if they work for the entire year, then for the second year onwards, they will be considered as an additional employee. तो वो जो employees जो last year कोई कारण से नहीं हो पाए, इस साल अगर वो पूरे साल उन्होंने employment रखा है, then they will be considered, that second year will be their first year, then considered as a new employee for the purposes of section 80JJAA. Now this amendment के बाद में there's a new form 10DA. जो old form 10DA that was very simple. It just mentions a few things कि भी आपने कितने workmen थे, कितने नए add किए, कितने additional wages pay किया. Now they come up with a new form 10DA which categorically says that the number of additional employees who is eligible for deduction, उसमें लिखा है employed during the previous year, employed during the immediately preceding year. जो employee एक साल पहले जो recruit हुए थे, जो अभी भी है, जो इसमें अभी eligible होते हैं, उनका डिटेल मुझे यहाँ पे देना पड़ेगा. So a very welcome amendment for the section 80JJAA deductions. Now coming to another very important thing on the 269 SU. I think this I still remember there are in the month of January, February there are a lot of UN cry कि हम एक महीने में ऐसा compliance कैसे करेंगे, but everybody has done it. Those who have not done it, we have to do it as soon as possible. So this talks about every person carrying on business. So it basically talks about acceptance of payment through prescribed electronic modes. अगर कोई पर्सन है जो बिजनेस कर रहे हैं, तो बेसिकली प्रोफेशनल के लिए वैलिड एप्लीकेबल नहीं है, shall provide facility for accepting payment through prescribed electronic modes in addition to the facility of other electronic modes of payment, if any, being provided by such person, if his total sales, turnover or gross receipts as the case may be in business exceeds 50 crore during the immediately preceding previous year. मतलब मैं एक सेलर हूँ और मेरा बिजनेस का टर्नओवर लास्ट ईयर का 50 करोड़ से ऊपर है, फॉर एग्जांपल 1920 फाइनेंशियल ईयर का 50 करोड़ से ऊपर है, तो इन द फाइनेंशियल ईयर 2021 I have to make sure that apart from the ECS, check, cash, whatever I give options for the payment receive I give to my clients, I have to also give some prescribed modes that have been prescribed कि मुझे वो facility मेरे customers को देना पड़ेगा. These modes were basically prescribed in the month of December. जो ये applicable नवंबर से होने वाला था पर हुआ नहीं. दिसंबर में 30th of December को government came up with this notification wherein they had prescribed कि आपको debit card powered by रुपए UPI भीम and UPI QR code. ये 3 additional modes of payment आपको अपने सामने वाले customer को देने हैं. Now the question came here is debit card powered by RuPay. So many, I think RuPay का debit card बहुत जरूरी. People normally have a debit card of the company that is not working. You have to have a RuPay debit card, and UPI Beam and UPI QR code you have to have. Now the question came in, what if I have total B2B transactions? मेरे 2 ही customers हैं, दोनों मेरे को बैंक टू बैंक ट्रांसफर कर रहे हैं, तो मेरे को तो भी ये मोड देना है. The earlier answer was yes. Immediately answer was yes. But in the month of May, they came up with a clarification और बोला कि अगर आपका only B2B transactions है और आपका 95% of the amount is received through banking channels, in that case you need not have to have this 3 compliances. जो आपको 3 additional modes देने वो देने की जरूरत नहीं है. And this is how it is to be done. Compliance portal में जाके you can see prescribed payment modes, and then you have to mention here that nature of business, what is the amount, what is the facility you are given, and the most important point is you have to mention date of implementation. आपको date of implementation देना compulsory item है. Only then you can submit this. And believe me, there are a lot of notices getting coming up by the department कि आपने अभी तक नहीं किया तो आप कर लो, because they say that after 1st February they can levy a penalty of 5,000 rupees per day because of this non-compliances. So I think till now I think I have covered the major portion of the tax audit report, a few major amendments. If we have any question before I just conclude with a few thoughts that I had regarding the concluding note, I think I would like to just reproduce what our Prime Minister had said. Today the world is in pursuit of new business models. India, a youthful nation known for its innovative zeal, can take the lead in providing a new work culture. I envision this new business and work culture being redefined on the following vowels. I call them the vowels of the new normal because, like vowels in English language, these would become essential ingredients of any business model in the post-COVID world. This pandemic is sure to rewrite the rules of business. And what he has said is, first is adaptability. Very relevant. I think we as professionals will now have to be adaptable. इस साल हमको बहुत सारा data online आएगा. We'll be doing audits online. So we have to be now adaptable to digital modes of our working also. Efficiency, very important to increase our efficiency and productivity because efficiency matters more than the appearance of effort. And inclusivity, I think he rightly mentioned about the care for the poor. Opportunity, I think it's a brilliant opportunity for us as professionals during this time wherein we can reach to our clients through online medium. A lot of our time gets saved. I think हम लोग जो पहले करते थे visit करते थे, I think उसका जो time save हो रहा है, it is, I think we can now realize the importance of it. We can do so many things sitting at the office, and so that is a good opportunity that we have. Universalism, he had mentioned that the idea should be finding global relevance and application, and this is what I really believe in, that old croaky stories wherein we always be very hardworking and perseverance kind of a thing, but now it's time for us to become a modern crow. We have to update ourselves daily because it saves a lot of our extra effort. So with this, I think if you have any questions, we can have. Otherwise, I have a few questions which we can discuss.
So for question answer, we have few questions on YouTube as well. So YouTube viewers are requested to come on Zoom if they can come. Already share the meeting ID and password in the Zoom chat, so they can interact here.
Okay, so do we have any questions on the chat box that I can reply to? What is the time limit of tax audit in case of a corporate? So tax audit for everybody this year is 31st of October. So in the Finance Act 2020, they have come up with an amendment wherein what they have done is for the tax audit report is 30th of September and ITR is 31st of October. This year they have extended everything by 1 month. So tax audit report as on now it is 31st of October and ITR is 30th of November this year. What is the time limit of tax audit? I have typed my question. Yeah. Any other question that you have, we can discuss here. Okay. One of the question talks about client is a partnership firm. In financial year 1920, turnover is 97 lakhs. Net result is loss. Since past years, firm was on a tax audit, so we can do audit under 44 AV. Okay, so no. So आपने last year के अंदर 97 lakhs का था turnover, तो आपने कौन से section में audit किया था? That is the question, Rupal ji. Because even if it is loss. Hello. Not in last year for financial 920 we have 97 lakhs. Okay. So you are Rupal, you are saying that in the financial 920 you have turnover 97 lakhs. So you have to see whether last year में आपने 44 AD का implications तो नहीं. Otherwise you can take a benefit. You need not get the books of accounts audited. अगर last year का आपको 44 AD का 5 ऐसा criteria देखना है. If not, then you need not have to get the books of accounts audited, even if it is a loss. For transfer pricing, as of now, the tax audit limit, the ITR is 30th November, and tax audit is still 31st of October. We are waiting for some announcement. It is going to extend. So last year it was AB, as in it was more than the threshold limit. 1 crore से ऊपर था, इसलिए AB था, Rupal ji. So Shailja ji mentions for collection of TCS, debit note issued by TCS not received. Still we have to be deposited by 7th. Yes. So no. So what you do is, for example, you have collected 100 rupees in the month of, let's say, December. तो आपको उसके ऊपर 0.075% TCS भरना है. तो वो तो आपको 7 से पहले भरना ही पड़ेगा. आपको डेबिट नोट दिसंबर का रेज करना है. You can receive that amount whenever from your client. But if you have raised a debit note, you have to deposit by the 7th of next month. Similarly, like what we do for TDS. And then you have to find the return for the quarter also, for the December quarter also. In case of a corporate, the turnover is 1.575 crores. Do we have to go for audit? Yes. तो corporates के लिए भी आपको वो चेक करना पड़ेगा 1 crore and 5 crore की जो अभी नया जो provision आया है कि 5% अगर less है, and in that case even the corporates have an option of not going for tax audit if you have. But yes, corporates are not eligible for 44 AD क्योंकि 44 AD के लिए हमने देखा था individual HUF या partnership firm only they can take a benefit of 44 AD. So if you don't fulfill the criteria of that 5%, then yes, the corporates will also have to do the tax audit done. Last year it was above 1 crore, so you have done 44 AB. So this year you need not do the audit, it's absolutely fine in that case. If they comply for 5%, then no audit. The companies you're saying, Sandeep ji, if you're saying about the companies, yes, if they comply for the 5% limit, then no audit for them because it is for every person. The limit for 1 crore will be substituted by 5 crores. So in that case, no audit. For transfer pricing audit, tax audit time is 30th November. No, as of now, Sanjay ji, tax audit is still 31st of October, and a lot of representations have gone in, and we hope to have a extension of tax audit also soon. I don't know when, but yes. Can file return without AD on normal return? This year loss is there. Can file return without AD? Yeah, normal return you can file because you no need to have a 44 AD thing. See, 44 AD is an option that you can take if you want to go for an option of 44 AD. You can absolutely go for a normal return. Whether cash withdrawn by proprietor for personal use. So now again a very important question by Jayesh bhai is that cash withdrawn by proprietor for personal use to be counted in 5%. So normally what I say is that in case there is an individual if he is withdrawing for its own purpose, I would always say that it should not be included because you need 2 persons to have a transaction. अगर मैंने खुद से ही withdraw किया खुद ने ही डाला तो वो I cannot trade with myself. I cannot do payments or transactions with myself. So if it is a proprietor and if I have withdrawn for something for the personal use, I don't think so it should be counted in the 5% limit. But yes, if there is a partnership firm or जहाँ पे partners का withdrawal है, it is as good as payment to the partners, and hence we should be considered. Again, it's a very, very good question. I think it's a subjective view that we can take on that amount. Cash withdrawn from savings and introduced in business. Again, if you say it's a partnership, a proprietorship firm, I'll say I'm doing a business as myself. I would rather not take it as a receipt. But again, in this thing, I think we should take a conservative approach. अगर हमको लग रहा है कहीं पे भी like borderline thing है, we should rather do the tax audit done. But have our documentation and every working with this ready for that. Any other question that we can have here?
I think we can invite Rajesh Selot sir. If there is no question, we can invite Rajesh Selot sir, chairman of this session.
Okay, sir. Sir, over to you now.
Sir, Rajesh sir would like to request you to for concluding remarks as a chairman of the session. Rajesh Selot sir.
Hello.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Am I audible, sir?
Yes, sir. Perfectly fine, sir.
Thank you so much, my guest speaker, Harit Bhai. You have spoken very excellently, although the speed was a little bit fast. There was a request from the audience also to reduce the speed. Anyway, you spoke very well because the subject matters given to you were very lengthy and you covered almost all the important features of all the three subjects. Friends, as far as Section 206C 1C is concerned, there is one important thing that if you have collected TCS and not paid, because TCS has to be collected at the time of receipt. Suppose you have sold the goods worth rupees 1 crore and you have collected you have collected sales consideration more than 50 lakhs. The limit has been crossed, 50 lakhs limit, and then on the remaining amount, further amount, if you collect TCS, so you will have to request to the buyer to pay the TCS. And many times it would happen that buyer may refuse you. Suppose he pays you 50 lakhs rupees and then you request him to also pay 0.1%, he does not pay. Then you will have to pay from your pocket, number one. And once you have collected TCS, then it is your responsibility to pay it to the government. Otherwise, Section 276BB may apply, resulting into prosecution for a minimum period of 3 months. Secondly, as the Harit rightly said, that please don't add the TCS amount in the invoice. Rather, you issue a debit note at the time of receipt of the sale consideration, so that your many times frequent debit credit and passing of journal entries may be avoided. So, in my opinion, also at the time of receipt, we may collect TCS. Now, friends, suppose you have not collected TCS, means you have failed to collect TCS. Then what would happen? Then, according to my opinion, you would be considered as assessee in default, and Section 221 of the Income Tax Act would apply. Because in other matters of 206, there is a provision that if the opponent party has complied with his tax compliances, means he has filed his returns and paid the taxes, then even if you have not collected TCS, then you would not be considered as assessee in default. For example, in case of these forest produce or scrap produce, timber, tendu patta. In these cases, if you have failed to collect TCS, still you would not be considered as assessee in default, provided the buyer has complied with the tax requirements. But in the case of this collection of more than 50 lakhs, still you would be assessee in default. You have not been spared from this definition, and this is very important that still you may have to face the consequences of assessee in default under Section 221 and other sections. Moreover, friends, one important point that upon motor vehicle sale, if you have purchased a motor vehicle for valuing more than rupees 10 lakhs, and if you go to showroom, then TCS from you is collected. But if a distributor is selling vehicles to his dealers and the value of each vehicle is less than 10 lakhs rupees, however, the aggregate amount to be received from that dealer exceeds 50 lakhs rupees, and if the seller receives more than 50 lakhs from the dealer, then TCS provisions would also apply. This is a clarification. At this point of time, and taking the benefit of this webinar, I would also like to put some points regarding Section 194N. As you know, Section 194N is was applicable on cash withdrawals exceeding rupees 1 crore up to the date of 30th June 2020. But with effect from 1st July 2020, the section has been substituted, and 194N has been replaced by the old section, and now they have provided two categories. Number one, the number 1 case covers a defaulter who has not submitted return in past. Means, what is the definition of defaulter? Defaulter is said to one person who has not filed his income tax returns for all the 3 preceding financial years. Means, for all the 3 preceding financial years, if you have not filed return, means you have filed return for 1 year or 2 years, not for all the 3 years, then you would be considered a defaulter. And in this case of a defaulter, if he withdraws cash more than rupees 20 lakhs, then from 20 lakhs to rupees 1 crore, the payer, means the bank or the post office or the cooperative bank, etc., from where you withdraw the cash, they will deduct 2% TDS. And if this amount of withdrawal exceeds 1 crore, then 5% TDS rate is applicable. Now here, the law is not clear. The language is not clear, and there is a confusion that if a person who is a defaulter withdraws more than rupees 1 crore, then whether 5% rate would apply or 5% rate would apply from the straight beginning, or it would apply after crossing 1 crore limit. So that is a doubt which has to be clarified. In my humble opinion, in my considered opinion, what I think that the intention of the lawmakers should be that 2% rate from 20 lakhs to 1 crore, whereas 5% rate if this withdrawal exceeds 1 crore rupees. So upon the amounts exceeding 1 crore rupees, the rate of 5% must apply, in my view. Similarly, there is a second category which covers non-defaulters, means the persons who have filed returns for all the last 3 financial years. And if such persons withdraw money more than rupees 1 crore, then 2% TDS would apply. This is the provision for under section 194N. And lower TDS certificate, you cannot obtain into it. There is no provision. And such TDS, however, would not be covered and would not be considered as your income under section 198 of the Income Tax Act. Whereas you know that TDS in other cases is considered as income of the assessee. Similarly, friends, there is section 194O, which says that if a trader sells goods through an e-commerce operator, then TDS would apply. In this case, an individual and HUF who are having turnover less than rupees 5 crore through e-commerce operator and furnishes his PAN or Aadhaar card to the e-commerce operator and a declaration, then no TDS would apply. But if a turnover of individual HUF exceeds 5 lakh rupees, or then TDS would apply. And in case of other than individual and HUF, this TDS would apply from the starting amount, means there is no minimum slab. Rate of TDS is 0.75%, and it would be 1% from with effect from 1/4/21. However, you can obtain lower TDS certificate from the department if you want to get your TDS at a much lower rate. So these are some of the provisions which I thought I should mention in this seminar for the benefits of we all. And with this, friends, I once again thank Harit Bhai, Dhariwal ji, who is a very young speaker. He prepared his speech in a very exhaustive manner and tried to cover most of the important points. With these words, friends, I extend my heartful thanks to the organizers. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Rajesh, Selot sir, and Harit bhai. We are getting wonderful feedback as well on our chat. One of the user I can read is, thank you, sir. It was such a wonderful session. Many doubts were cleared in a simplified manner. So there are many, I cannot read all. There are few on YouTube live as well, Harit bhai and Rajesh sir. Thank you so much for this wonderful session. Would like to invite Amrit Porwal sir. Amrit Porwal sir for formal vote of thanks.
Yeah. Jai Jinendra, friends. Very good evening to all of you. Friends, it's my It's a really pleasure to convey the vote of thanks to today's speaker, Harit Dhariwal, the young and energetic speaker who has really very ably guided everyone about the recent provision of TCS, as well as the various intricacies in tax audit, important issues which we are facing day in, day out nowadays as we are in the midst of tax audit season. And TCS being very important topic, recently it has become fully applicable. So we all have a lot of doubts and this thing which have been ably cleared by the speaker, as well as our chairman, Sri Rajesh Selot, who has really added valuable contribution to the session today by giving his able and expert comments. Friends, we are also thankful to our Virag Shah for moderating the session today in a wonderful manner and making this platform available to JCF also and jointly organizing this session. We are also thankful to Ms. Preeti for introducing Dipti Jain for introducing both the speakers, as well as our JCF President Sri Pradeep Bhai Kapadia and various dignitaries who have joined us today for this event. And lastly, I would like to also thank you all the audience for having a wonderful time and session. And learning is really the kind of response you all are displaying by joining various events of JCF along with Virag Bhai's platform. It's really wonderful. So thank you very much. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much, Amrit sir. It's our pleasure to work with JCF always. Harit bhai and Rajesh bhai, thank you so much for a wonderful session. I just want to tell you that we have with us CM Mukesh Solanki ji. He is the convener of the Big Indian Firm, which is one JCF initiative, and he would like to take 2 or 3 minutes of all the audience to showcase what is the Big Indian Firm initiative by JCF. So over to you, Mukesh bhai.
Thank you so much, Virag bhai, for giving me this opportunity to interact with the people. Though I understand that all have joined to understand the TDS and TCS, so knowledge sharing has been there. With this knowledge sharing, I would like to mention one thing here. In life, what takes the success? Success comes with the grabbing the opportunity. And what the opportunity at the preliminary stage, if you can grab the opportunity, if you can identify the opportunity, then it becomes really wonderful to achieve the success. But many a time we pass through the opportunities, but we don't realize that, okay, this is there or this is not. We doubt those things and we wait for some time that, okay, if something comes up, okay, we will see, we will wait whether it will be, successful or not. Then we will try to board the train. So friends, I would like to mention you one thing that JCF have come out with the wonderful opportunity for all of the professionals here today. We are going to launch on the April 2021 30 offices in the country with the 300 plus partners with 3,000 team members. All the professionals coming together under one umbrella and providing the services at the mass level, providing the systematic approach and improving our processes, quality of our services, and providing the best satisfaction to our client. But how this will be done? If you will be having a lot of confusion, you will be having a lot of doubt, like 300 people in the 70 years in the history of the country, it has never been done. Right, definitely it is a challenging task. And when we put it like this is April 2021, hardly 180 days are left. 180 days we have been into our houses also and in lockdown, but next 180 days are going to be milestone for this opportunity to take the same. We are going to have our big launch. In our last event, Joshi ji has mentioned about your past doesn't define the success of your future. So we'll take that note. And tomorrow we are having our general meeting 3 to 5 www.tbif.in. I would request, I will repeat again, www.tbif.in. Tomorrow we are going to explain in detail 2 hours of the talk, where each and every question of yours I will be answering there, and most of the system processes, all the doubts regarding the TBIF will be clear there. Go to our website and book your slot for the general meeting tomorrow, www.tbif.in. Please. And once again, thank you, Virag bhai, to giving me this opportunity to interact with all the members here. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mukesh bhai, to enlighten us about what big is happening around the world and around the India, and what you are taking that the big Indian firm, one of the dream of our Prime Minister as well. So you are working for it along with the entire JCF team. You are doing a commendable job. So with this, thank you so much all. Kindly visit the www.tbif.in for the joining and the process of the big Indian firm and what's happening in the big Indian firm, the initiative and the process. With this, we are concluding this session. Would request Harit bhai to share the presentation. There are many requests for the presentation, for the wonderful presentation. Many are already telling this is a very interactive webinar. If you can read also, that is by that. Thanks a lot for wonderful, highly knowledgeable session, and many more comments, Harit bhai. And there are many comments on YouTube as well. That also you can check, Harit bhai, anytime.
Sure. Thank you so much, Virag bhai, for the opportunity. And presentation, I'll send you an email.
Yes.
Thank you, sir.
I will share with all of you, all the participants, and also available on our YouTube channel. We'll share the link for download on YouTube channel description of this video. So thank you so much. And with this, we are ending this meeting. So once again, thank you, Harit bhai, for the wonderful, knowledgeable session and very interactive webinar. So with this, we can close this session as well.